Warrior Lore. Chapter 887, Exposed Again. Chapter 887, Exposed Again. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bailey Jingwei stood up, his creepy grin driving fear into the five, stopping before the first man. This is your chance. It all comes down to your fortune if you can grasp it. Speak. What is your answer to Sword King Feiyun's question? Bailey Jingwei's sharp eyes glanced at him and roared. The man was on the verge of crying, pleading, Prime Minister, Sword King, I'll never pretend again. I was just trying to seek my luck by omitting some things. I didn't mean to commit such a crime. Then you should treasure this chance more. Bailey Jingwei glared at the wrong guy. Answer Sword King's question and we'll let you go. Even as he was sweating bullets and shaking like a leaf, he still put on a grieving look. Sirs, I really don't know. I would never lie to you. Please spare my poor life, great sirs. The guy looked so feeble, so fragile, so victimized. Bailey Jingwei turned to Shangguan Feiyun, who shook his head. Shangguan Feiyun hooked his finger, and the man in question exploded in a shower of blood and gore. Out of nowhere, the blood splashed everywhere, especially on the other four, soaking them to the bone. The four shuddered, feeling the slick and warm blood trickling down their faces. Some of them even soiled themselves. Just one question. That was all it took for a perfectly fine and alive man to be reduced to a pulp. The dread shook the remaining survivors to the core. Ignorance is a sin. Who's to blame for not even answering Sword King's simple question? Bailey Jingwei shook his head as the blood spread on the ground and walked to the second one. He pulled his shoulder with a grin. Well, do you know? Pa. Bailey Jingwei's hand felt like the whole world was on his shoulder. His knees softened. His legs felt like jelly, ready to crumble. Luckily, Bailey Jingwei was there to hold him straight. Alas, that did not stop the wet feeling coming from his pants. Frowning, Shangguan Feiyun shunned him and held his nose in anger. Bailey Jingwei laughed. Ha ha, afraid? Great, that shows you value life. As you know, you only get to live once. Knowing its value means getting to enjoy living. Now that's wisdom. Brother, a wise guy like you should know the right answer. Don't disappoint me. Right? Gulping loudly, the guy shook and bobbed his head. His eyes darted all over for the answer. Coming to a decision at long last, he gnashed his teeth. Screw it all. Since I'll die anywhere, I might as well go down fighting. The man took a deep breath and cupped his hands in confidence as he roared, Prime Minister, Sword King, for Shangguan clan's ancestral memorial, there will be 4 incense and bathing for an hour. Startled, Bailey Jingwei was half believing he got his spy from his confident look, so he deferred to Shangguan Feiyun. But the man shook his head. Bastard. You dare lie with a straight face? You almost had me. I just knew there'll be wise guys clinging to life to such extremes. That's why I had Shangguan Feiyun giving a question only his clan can answer, or you might have lied your way out. Rolling his eyes, Bailey Jingwei walked right past him. Wrong? But isn't it 3 bows to elders and 4 to those who passed? Everyone gives 4 incense to their ancestors. Isn't an hour enough to wash oneself clean? That should be enough respect for the dead. Bam! The guy figured his lie was wrong and started running his mouth for the right answer. But since he wasn't the target, just collateral, Shangguan Feiyun had no remorse in snapping his finger to repeat the previous gory display once more. As the sickening splash and foul smell of blood assaulted the 3 survivors, they were paralyzed in fear. 2 of them had no chance of getting the answer right, falling in the pits of despair. We can't even lie our way out. Only Shangguan Yulin hesitated while sweating. As a valued member of the Shangguan clan, he knew all too well about the answer. If he said it, it proved he was a spy and the enemy would use him. But if he kept his mouth shut, he saw with his own eyes the sordid fate awaiting him when his 2 friends paved the way in blood. To die another day, or suffer now? That was the question. It was a choice he didn't want to make in his life. Or with his life on the line, he was now at the cruelest point in a man's life. Regardless of the choice, death was at its end. Looking at the remaining 3, Shangguan Yulin's behavior was all the more obvious. Bailey Jingwei mocked and walked next to him. He froze like a statue. Keep your hair on. Ha ha ha. Patting his shoulder, Bailey Jingwei smiled like a fox. Brother, you saw your brothers go ahead, right? Life is so precious, but they just didn't know how to treasure it. What a shame. There must be so many things they wanted to do, but alas, that ship has sailed. You, my friend, are next. Who knows, maybe third time's the charm and might actually know the answer. Or maybe I'm expecting too much, and you'll just be walking in their bloody footsteps. How about this? If you have any last wish, let me hear it. I'll do everything in my power to fulfill it. It's the least I could do for a handsome chap like me. Bailey Jingwei was mocking but also slipping triggers inside his speech. All too inside his will to live, everyone died. That was life. But dying bitter or at peace differed. The former would leave you hateful while the latter brought you solace, but a flamboyant and vigorous young master like Shangguan Yulin was bound to have plenty of last wishes now that Bailey Jingwei reminded him and woke him up from the crippling fear. He realized he wanted so much more in life. He had yet to be the leader of Shangguan clan. He didn't get his cousin either. How could he die without rhyme nor reason? Bailey Jingwei's sharp gaze picked up on his conundrum and capitalized. A handsome and talented young master, only to die in vain. What a pity. Such a death is like a feather swallowed in the waves of the endless ocean, gone from the people's minds. The things you wanted will become others. Isn't it tragic for you to die and for others to enjoy your aspirations? Shangguan Yulin shook, his heart sinking. Why the hell should I die? He was Uncle's real nephew. Dying would lead to successful mission, but it would not be him who would be Uncle's right hand, but that profiteering fake nephew who would get his cousin and rise to the top. Why should I give my life for others to gain fortune? The image of Zhuo Fan, Shangguan Qingyan, and Gu Santong, one happy family, was burned in his mind. They would be perfect and live a life of joy, all thanks to his corpse. Shangguan Yulin's eyes were bloodshot with rage. Bailey Jingwei grinned. Sword King Feiyun is a direct descendant of the Shangguan clan. When we attack Eastern lands, he'll be the lord of Eastern lands, of course, as the rightful ruler of Shangguan clan. Sword King Feiyun did not forget about his clansmen, each year holding a memorial for his ancestors. All he wishes is for the glory of the Shangguan clan. If a young clansman were to come to him, he'd be welcomed with open arms. Nephew Shangguan Yulin greets uncle. Seeing Shangguan Yulin about to cave and his guard lowered, Bailey Jingwei struck at his heart with guile. Until Shangguan Yulin fell victim to his desires, and to his knees, Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun were overjoyed. They got their spy. And for this guy to say uncle, that meant he was clan head's nephew as well. They got one big catch. Chapter 888. A Turncoat's Options. Chapter 888. A Turncoat's Options. Proofreader. Papatonks. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes bore down on the kneeling Shangguan Yulin with an excited heart, ready for the final test. In case he's just another frickin' coward that spews anything to cling to his puny life. You're saying you're my nephew, is it? Then you should be aware of the memorial held each year by the Shangguan clan. Absolutely. Shangguan Yulin's eyes flashed, reporting, Uncle, Shangguan clan's yearly memorial burns 36 incenses for the 36 clan heads before that defended Eastern lands, the Shangguan clan, and gave their lives for it. Bathing will take 24 hours the entire day before one shows respect to his ancestors, with the idea of the 36 heavenly cycles in mind to pray for their blessings. Shangguan Feiyun shook and laughed. Haha, well done. Only a Shangguan clansman knows true respect. No outsider will know we hold a memorial for 36 ancestors. Does that mean we found our spy? Bailey Jingwei grinned, while Shangguan Yulin tensed and shrunk. Bailey Jingwei helped him up with a kind smile. Young Master Shangguan, relax. We've gone through such trouble to find you so you could guide us. It's only a matter of time before the Shangguan clan will be under Sword King Feiyun's rule. To receive his help so early is your fortune. Moreover, you said you're Sword King Feiyun's nephew. Being so close is bound to bring splendor in young master's future. Shangguan Feixiong and the others shun me, but I'm still part of the Shangguan clan. As long as any member is willing to come to me, I will look after them, especially when it comes to my dear nephew. Is your mother perhaps? Shangguan Feiyun was more amiable now. Shangguan Yulin bowed, reporting his entire life to the man. Shangguan Feiyun exclaimed, Oh, so your sister Yuheng's child. It truly has been ages. We were so close in those days, ha ha ha. Mother has talked about how she misses uncle. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Yulin used the perfect moment to grab his lifeline. Shangguan Feiyun nodded. Bailey Jingwei smiled at the exchange. Sword King Feiyun, it's truly a rare occasion for an uncle to rejoin with his nephew. But before we can delve deeper into the memory lane, I will have to ask young Master Shangguan if you have any other clansmen among these two. Glancing at the quivering messes, the two gave begging looks. They knew now this was a chance for Shangguan clansmen. As long as they became one as well, they'd see tomorrow. So the two made doe eyes at Shangguan Yulin. He was their only hope in this abyss. Prime Minister, sir, the Shangguan clan doesn't have filth. Shangguan Yulin spoke in a cold tone. The two's legs gave from under them. Falling paralyzed and in despair, Bailey Jingwei nodded and said, Sword King, sir, the previous act was to find young Master Yulin. Since he's the only one, take them away. No, that will mean they'll leak this event. When Shangguan Feixiong finds out, he'll hunt me down. Ha ha ha, no worries, young Master Yulin. I'll be sure to have men look after you. Take them away and let them go. Bailey Jingwei waved. The two nodded with hope. Shangguan Yulin frowned, his head shaking anxiously. You can't. I can't have peace as long as they live. Only the dead can hold a secret. Shangguan Yulin struck before the other two spoke again. Taking their lives, the two peak ethereal stage cultivators were scared to death just moments ago. This gave this fresh soul harmony stage cultivator the chance to kill them easily. Bailey Jingwei squinted. Shangguan Yulin gave them an awkward look as he bowed. Uncle, Prime Minister, forgive me for overstepping. Ha ha, lighten up. It's I who was too nice. Young Master Yulin did well. Bailey Jingwei chuckled and turned serious. Young Master, now that you have Sword King Feiyun's support, can you tell us your purpose here? Shangguan Yulin nodded, completing his betrayal by revealing Shangguan Feixiong's entire plan. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Just like I thought, they're ready for a second assault. That means they'll all work as one, and not scatter. Then where you're staying in Flying Cloud City is Eastern Gates Gu household. Shangguan Yulin's eyes shone. His voice steady. Bailey Jingwei mumbled, Gu household? That does sound familiar. Of course it is, Prime Minister, since it is the house of the same guest you honored today, Gu Yifan. What? Bailey Jingwei shook. Grandmaster Gu is one of you? But Sword King Feiyun said your clan isn't great with alchemy. How can you have someone like him? Him, one of us? As if. Humph. He's nothing but a frickin'. Shangguan Yulin gnashed his teeth at his mere mention, spilling everything once again. Warning for good measure at the end. Prime Minister, sir, Gu Yifan is also Shangguan clan's spy, even if my sub. You must erase him before he reports back. Sub? You're the sub if you ask me. Bailey Jingwei glanced over and shook his head with a sad gaze. Grandmaster Gu, a truly rare talent, was now an enemy? At the very least, he and Shangguan clan aren't that close, only making use of each other. This gives me room to work with and use him. Bailey Jingwei came back from his machinations with a smile. Young Master Shangguan, you've done your uncle, Sword King Feiyun, a great service and revealed a great weakness to me. I wanted to bring Grandmaster Gu to the imperial capital, having no caution around him at all. Please accept this bow from me, young master, for opening my eyes. Bailey Jingwei bowed. Shangguan Yulin helped him up at once, though he looked prideful. The great Bailey Jingwei is bowing to me. Ain't I awesome, or what? Shangguan Feiyun snickered. Prime Minister, how are you going to kill him? Should I do it? Shangguan Yulin looked way too eager to dole out violence, but then he thought about it and said, just that the miss next to him is my cousin. Allow me to take care of her, Prime Minister. Don't harm her. I vow that she won't hinder you. Bailey Jingwei read him like a book. Young master must admire that miss. Shangguan Yulin blushed and gave a weak nod. Ha ha ha, sure. Since she's with young master, I won't touch her. Bailey Jingwei promised. Shangguan Feiyun promised. The hostility between my brother and me won't spread to a helpless girl, especially one such as my niece. Shangguan Yulin eased then. When will you strike against that Gu punk? We need him to live for a while longer. Bailey Jingwei denied. What? Shangguan Yulin panicked. Why? After the Pill King convention, his name will reach far and wide. If anything happens to him, it will send alarms. Bailey Jingwei smirked. Besides, We still need him to report back to the Shangguan clan. What do you need him to report? I can do it as well. Slapping his chest, Shangguan Yulin showed that what Zhuofan could do. So could he? Bailey Jingwei sized him up then shook his head. Young Master Yulin, this you must not, because you've been eliminated out of the competition? I have. Yes. How else are you to watch Shangguan Feixiong's every move? Bailey Jingwei showed a sly grin. I thought Shangguan clan would only send one spy and planned on passing you to help Flying Cloud Manor. But now, since there's two of you, it will turn out far better. Besides giving the Shangguan clan the information I want, I'll also know what they're doing. Any slight delay will lead to different plans of action. That's why I decided to have Gu Yifan report back and you watch Shangguan Feixiong and read his doubts. This will make my plan of attack all the more precise. Understand? Chapter 889. To each with their own greed. Chapter 889. To each with their own greed. Proofreader. Papatonks. Squinting, Shangguan Yulin spoke hesitantly. You know Shangguan clan is staying at Gu household, so why not attack? Why? Ha ha ha, young Master Yulin, you still don't get my idea. Bailey Jingwei smirked. Shangguan clan has many experts. Even if we attack, they'll scatter, and we'd hardly get any of them. But even if we do, experts aren't so quick to give in. By setting traps around the household, they'll soon notice as well. This leaves the best solution to use the manor. We'll take adequate precautions so once they come in, they'll never get out. Shuddering, Shangguan Yulin gasped. You want to kill them all? Ha ha, it does sound greedy when you say it like that. You either do it right or not do it at all. After sipping his tea, Bailey Jingwei smirked. Most of Shangguan clan's strength will be crushed here and thus weaken eastern lands. As the sole survivor of this disaster, you'll be our eyes and ears inside the eastern lands. This will be its downfall. When Sword King Feiyun will rule it, young master will become the first minister, showered in endless glory. Getting some cousin couldn't be easier. It's all up to you what image suits you. You can be the grieving hero or a sufferer as you become Sword King Feiyun's right hand. I can make it happen. I can make it so you will have the right to embrace any girl you want without repercussions. Shangguan Yulin's brow shook. Betraying his excitement, Bailey Jingwei peeked at him and continued. Young master, to the survivor goes everything. Regardless of morality and name, it's at the whim of the winner. History is written by the victor. So young master need not be concerned that the death of these Shangguan experts will label you a traitor of eastern lands, because we have the power to make you its hero. Everyone will bow at your feet, even your cousin. If you keep this secret, we won't speak a word of it either. Bailey Jingwei's name as Prime Minister of the Swordstar Empire wasn't just for show. He could read Shangguan Yulin like a book, twist his words and paint a fantastic future. The clueless youth would get lost, and the kid knew that an attack on Gu household would result in heavy losses on Shangguan clan's side. But his uncle and the Venerables were too strong to be captured. Not even if Shangguan Feiyun was included, Bailey Jingwei wanted them all gone. An entirely different problem. Not to mention, Shangguan Feixiong was his uncle who looked after him since young, as well as his cousin's father. If one day Shangguan Qingyan learned that her father's death had something to do with him, her hatred would know no bounds. But now, Bailey Jingwei's intricate speech hit home, right at his core. Weren't you scared of being found out and end up shamed for your betrayal? Well, we have a solution. You'll not only be worry-free, but gain all the glory too. Ain't that a good deal? The best. Shangguan Yulin's mind made instant peace with his betrayal, all under the cover of fame and fortune. Willing to become the devil's right hand without blame or guilt. Men would be damned for all eternity. He was still caught up in that fantasy of his and oblivious that once Bailey Jingwei helped him rise, he could also crush him as well. Having your weakness exposed tended to do that you would be nothing more than his puppet. The whole point to the saying, one mistake lead to ruin. The only chance of overcoming it was by embracing it, facing it head-on, or forever be bound by it. Or maybe it was simpler than that. He might have figured it out, just that he was looking for excuses to let Bailey Jingwei use him, since being used meant Bailey Jingwei needed him alive at the heart of all his desire. It was not fame, glory, uncle, or even cousin, but himself that settles it, young Master Yulin. Bailey Jingwei cupped his hands at Shangguan Yulin with a smile. The youth replied in kind and left Bailey Jingwei, finally showed his disdain once he was gone. Hypocrite. Also beyond selfish. Shangguan Feiyun added, looking at the extra blood around. Misery loves company. Even if there's no friendship involved, there's no rush to finish them off. More like he's too scared to lose his puny life. Bailey Jingwei nodded. I never planned on letting them leave, only testing your cousin's character. And what a test. This guy is a good pawn, but not trustworthy. Guard, have someone watch the Gu household. That guy in particular. Yes, sir. The guard obeyed. Shangguan Feiyun called before he left, and that cousin of his. Since he thinks of himself a lover, then let's give him a shameless reason to give his life for us. Haha. Bailey Jingwei nodded. Good one, Sword King Feiyun. But there's some things I wish Sword King would clarify for me. Prime Minister, there's no need for such a courteous tone. Please speak. Sword King, sir, are you that close to his mother? Shangguan Feiyun's mouth twitched and mocked. The hell I am. She's always been a shrew, that one, and a tomboy. The mere sight of her annoyed me. Who knew she'd have a son? Humph. The guy who had her must be one poor devil to deal with all that craziness. Ha ha ha. Sir Sword King is quite the actor. Making yourself a friend of the dead? Bailey Jingwei chuckled, then frowned in all seriousness. It's clear Grandmaster Gu is only stopping over in the central area, but I never consider him to be tied to Shangguan clan. At least they're not too close. I have to get him on my side. It'll be such a loss to this world for a Grandmaster to die along with these rats. My heart would bleed. Bailey Jingwei sighed as he walked towards the manor. Shangguan Feiyun followed. Prime Minister sure loves talent. 15 minutes later, one old man and a youth were casually sipping tea in a gazebo close to the manor. No one was around to disturb them. Zhuo Fan checked the sun's position and said, Old Dan, they should be finished by now. Bailey Jingwei should have gotten his spy. Don't worry though, nothing will change. I wager he'll be even more differential. Humph, like a true egomaniac. You should thank your lucky stars that he won't kill you. Danqing Shan rolled his eyes. Laughter broke out. Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Gu, dragon-cleaving Sword King. So this is where you were. You had me look all over for you. The two turned to Bailey Jingwei walking over with Shangguan Feiyun. Zhuo Fan stood up and bowed. Looking afraid, Prime Minister sir, forgive my early disrespect, having not realized who sir was. Grandmaster Gu, you're too modest. There's nothing to forgive, ha ha ha. Please, get up, or I'll feel guilty. Bailey Jingwei had a bright smile and looked quite respectfully at Zhuo Fan. That stunned Danqing Shan, the boy's right. Bailey Jingwei didn't mention the spy, but treated him even more courteously than before. Does Bailey Jingwei even know who he really is? It's like two weasels are fighting to better the other. Zhuo Fan was quite humble as he noticed Shangguan Feiyun. Sir is? He is the lord here, Sword King Shangguan Feiyun. Bailey Jingwei introduced shaking. Zhuo Fan gasped and bowed again. Sword King Feiyun, sir, forgive me, forgive me. It's fine. Sir can rise. Shangguan Feiyun helped him straightening his clothes. Zhuo Fan beamed. Ha ha ha. I'm a mere radiant stage cultivator, but actually got to meet two Sword Kings and the Prime Minister in one day. I've never been more excited in my life. Prime Minister, when Sir Dragon-cleaving Sword King said he was defending his home, he almost shocked me to death. I'm truly ashamed. Danqing Shan frowned in silence. This boy's acting is out of this world. Even I'd buy into his role if I didn't know his ruthless nature. Haha, Sir Gu is truly funny. Come sit. Bailey Jingwei laughed and started, not letting him make a fool of himself, but also quite appreciative of him, by the looks of it. Grandmaster Gu is a simple man who only knows alchemy. Shangguan Yulin was right. The Shangguan clan made him a spy, and he's unrelated to them at all. Shangguan Feiyun, and he shared a nod. This neophyte spy was the best pawn to use and implement their counter as smiles traced beneath the gazebo, each hiding their greed and plans. Chapter 890. Flawless. Chapter 890. Flawless. Proofreader. Papatonks. In a quaint little gazebo behind the Flying Cloud Manor, 4 people were enjoying the good life, laughing and chatting to their full content like old pals. The totally harmonious mood felt surreal to the lass watching them. See cousin. Pausing, The four put down their teacups and turned towards the newcomer. Shangguan Qingyan looked complicated at the uncle she never saw before. Oh, Grandmaster Gu's cousin, Miss Gu. Ha, come, please sit. Shangguan Feiyan looked at his panicking niece without exposing her, merely pointing at the chair next to him. We were just having a chat with your cousin. If you don't mind it, take a seat as well. Shangguan Qingyan's brow shook. As a young miss of the Shangguan clan on her first undercover mission, she had been warned by her father and the elders many times to close her heart. But seeing the betraying uncle, she let her nervousness slip. Shangguan Feiyun and Bailey Jingwei understood at a glance and merely smiled. Shangguan Feixiong must be lacking men to send a naive child like her as spy. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan grinned and sighed. The appearance of Shangguan Qingyan and her reaction made her suspicious, but Shangguan Feiyun ignored it, having known everything, and since Bailey Jingwei was fond of Zhuofan as the four chatted moments before, Bailey Jingwei had tested him to ascertain the panicky reaction all newbie spies were endowed with. He did not disappoint. Thus, Bailey Jingwei lowered his guard and accommodated to this greenhorn playing spy in the big world. Shangguan Qingyan came here to cover both herself and Zhuofan. Shangguan Feiyun grinned and stared at her, making her tense. He laughed in the end. Ha ha ha. I'm inviting her for a chat, but she's just standing there looking at me in silence. Is she thinking something bad? Shangguan Qingyan panicked and sweat trickled down her brow. Shangguan Feiyun shared a look with Bailey Jingwei as the two enjoyed teasing her. Yenner, are you all right? Why the grimace? Is your illness acting up? Zhuofan walked to her to block her flustered face and signaling her with his eyes. Shangguan Qingyan used this chance to get away. Yes, cousin. It has been acting out and I feel weak. Help me back. Oh, sure. Take out Sword King's token. Here. Thanks. Zhuofan took it and rushed to the three to bow. Forgive me, the elements in my cousin's body are unbalanced and can only go on with pills. I'll be saying my goodbye now. Danqing Shin nodded and accepted the token. Then I won't hold you any longer, Grandmaster Gu. Go and look after Miss Gu. Thank you. Zhuofan walked away. Shangguan Feiyun raised an eyebrow. Grandmaster Gu, since Miss Gu is hurting, why not heal her here? We have all the ingredients you need and Grandmaster Gu may use them at his discretion. It's fine. Zhuofan looked guilty and gave a silly smile. Thank you, sir, but making the pill for my cousin is complicated and takes too long to be made on the spot. I still have some at home, and I need to return quickly to avoid complications. Bailey Jingwei squinted. Then we won't be delaying you, Grandmaster Gu. But sir needs to get ready. In around 5 days, we'll be leaving for the imperial capital. Grandmaster Gu has to make sure Miss Gu's medicine will be accounted for on the journey as well. Stunned, Zhuofan gave an awkward nod, then left with Shangguan Qingyan. Grandmaster Gu's words are full of suspicion. Danqing Shen glanced at the other two and said, if Miss Gu has such a deadly illness, how could he leave the medicine at home? Their reactions are off too. Of course it's off, since it's hard for a couple of green spies to stay calm around us. Slipping is a given. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Feiyun waved carelessly. Danqing Shan started. You mean their dragon-cleaving Sword King has just missed a good play and doesn't know yet. Bailey Jingwei grinned, his eyes shining with wisdom. We have already caught one spy, who gave these two to us. Shangguan clan had sent one overt and one covert to cover all bases. However, they'd never guess regardless of spies. They've overreached, ending up playing in our palms. Ha ha ha, Danqing Shen gasped. It's going just like he said. Bailey Jingwei knows who he is but doesn't expose him. Is it out of cherishing or logic, though? Danqing Shen asked. Why then did you let them walk? Well, ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei grinned. Grandmaster Gu is a man among men, a rare alchemical talent. It's such a shame to see him fade away. And the spy already told us Grandmaster Gu is hiding from his pursuit in the central area. That's how he stumbled upon the Shangguan clan and got wrapped up in this mess. He has no real ties to the clan. This will make it easy for him to be made use of in the service of the Empire, as long as his wishes are met. Danqing Shen nodded. True. I'd do anything to make use of such a talent as well. Why not expose it and make him work for us? Won't that make him one of us for sure? Shangguan Feiyun mocked. Danqing Shen frowned. What does that mean? Ha ha ha, dragon-cleaving Sword King. It's like this? Scratching his nose, Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone. Getting the spies is easy, but I want one to pass on my words, to get them to come and destroy them all. That man can never be Grandmaster Gu. Shangguan Feiyun nodded. As a spy, Gu Yifan is as green as it gets. He seemed calm but botched when pressed for details. If we had laid the cards on the table then, we'll be putting him in a tough spot when asked to give a fake report to the elders of Shangguan clan, giving himself away. It was better to keep him acting as their spy and provide counterintelligence. He believes we gave him real information when it's actually fake, but coming from him, the Shangguan clan will definitely buy it. It will make their destruction all the more assured. At worst, we'll just get him on our side right at the end. It's all the same. Amazing. Danqing Shan praised Bailey Jingwei waved casually. It's nothing praiseworthy, dragon-cleaving sword king. It's nothing but a little trick. Haha. Danqing Shan was silent. It's not for you. So why so smug? It's that brat who's truly great for seeing through the great prime minister's plan to the last detail. To the point he made sure to use emotion and logic, so you won't kill him. You're now just playing in his palm. One more treacherous than the next. But what's the boy after anyway? Regardless. Danqing Shan glanced at Bailey Jingwei and shook his head. Sir Bailey, a prime minister of the empire, of your marvelous talent, is going to get it now. The same kid you're trying to use is in fact a shrewder monster than you. Meanwhile, Zhuofan and Shangguan Qingyan left the manor and were rushing back. They looked tense and jittery. Are you nervous? Yes. Me too. The two held hands and felt the other's anxiety. While Zhuofan's was fake, Shangguan Qingyan's couldn't be more real. Chapter 891. Triumphant Hero. Chapter 891. Triumphant Hero. Proofreader. Papatonks. After a good deal of walking, Zhuofan looked back to see no one on their tail and stammered to console Shangguan Qingyan. It's fine. They don't seem to doubt us. But I'm still so nervous. Looking behind as well, Shangguan Qingyan's face was stiff and unnatural. Zhuofan rolled his eyes. Hey, Shangguan Feiyun is your uncle. So what's so scary about him? Not even I, an outsider, am scared of him. Though seeing her anxious demeanor, Zhuofan shook his head, bringing her into a hug and slowly giving her pats on the back. Feeling better now? We still need to hurry back to Uncle. You can't be seeing him like this, or he won't give us any heavy missions. When he was worried Shangguan Qingyan's naive nature would give them away to Shangguan Feishiong raising doubts and Bailey Jingwei's presence with their acting was fake to gain their trust, since they already had another spy spilling the beans and wanted them to give their report. It was the only way for him to get the two sides to duke it out, so he come out as the sole winner however. Once Shangguan Feishiong sees this chick like this, he'll seriously doubt us. We even deceive them with such obvious signs. Who knew what this might lead to? Maybe the factions would fight only ages later. He didn't do it out of compassion for this wee girl, but to fit Bailey Jingwei's plan by drawing the enemy under their roof. While also gaining the Shangguan clan's trust, he was the glue tying the two fuses together, and it was his job to get rid of any reason that might split them apart. All to enact my flawless plan. The poor girl had no idea of the devious plan in the man's mind. Being hugged all of a sudden like a child and rubbing her back made her feel warm, and she started to blush. She did not hate it though. Her hands sliding around Zhuofan's waist in time with his rubbing startled. Zhuofan froze with a weird look on his face, stopping his hand on her back. What's this chick up to? Is she making use of me in this situation? I'm consoling her, but she's out to get more out of this. How selfish. Luck had it Shangguan Qingyan did not read minds, or she'd spew blood. Who's using who here, when you started it? Feeling Zhuofan get stiffer than her, Shangguan Qingyan showed a bitter smile. She took back her hands and left his embrace. Thank you. I'm much better now. Great. I'm used to doing this to young Sanzi to get him to relax. It looks to be working. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan gave a dry chuckle and nodded at her recovered state. Resuming their walk, Shangguan Qingyan peeked at him and muttered, You looked quite calm in front of those great people. You even smiled, like you're of the same cloth. Why then now? Was I scared? Zhuofan smiled as she finished her question. Ha ha, I had to force myself through it, or they'd found me out. My life doesn't matter, but what about young Sanzi? Like my master once said, all living things have their own path. Even the tiniest creature lives in its own mundane way. I am weak as an ant and no royalty, but to secure my life, I have to keep a straighter face than anyone. You don't believe me? Touch it. Zhuofan stuck his face closer to Shangguan Qingyan and made her giggle. Pushing him away in fake anger, Shangguan Qingyan then found Zhuofan much closer to her heart. Actually, you're not that insignificant. You're a rare 11th grade alchemist. If not for the Pill King convention, I'd never know your good side. What's the use? Zhuofan shook his head. In a world where only power matters, a great alchemical skill would only make you a strong faction supporter. As a radiant stage cultivator with average talent, I've gotten used to being shooed and giving me orders. While I'm not a bug in the truest sense, I do have the strength of one. Shangguan Qingyan stared into Zhuofan's bitter look and felt sad, and something peculiar that made her heart throb. Zhuofan looked vulnerable, but she saw behind it the drive to push through the suffering, to go against his own destiny, which filled her vision. Unlike her kind, who were born with a silver spoon in their mouths, Zhuofan had to work his way up. This fortitude was very attractive. Zhuofan liked to toy around or suck up to someone like a lowlife. All was done with a purpose in mind, to live on with his child. That was why he was so much calmer than her in front of the central area's 9 sword kings. Seeing him braving through hardship had moved her, of course. That was just Shangguan Qingyan's misconception. Zhuofan was just a fallen angel upon this mortal world, of the noblest ilk, with total disregard to all so-called experts. Why would he care about some Genesis stage cultivators? Though she was right about one thing. Be it in the former or current life, Zhuofan was used to staying low and working his way up. That was why struggle was at the core of his being, especially since he had once seen what the top offered, making fame and fortune look dull to him. All he wanted was to return to his peak. Taking a casual stroll, the lovely couple arrived home. Shangguan Qingyan grew nervous seeing the door. Feeling sad their walk was so short, she never felt like this when the three of them went out having fun. Making this trek all the more valuable, Zhuofan sensed nothing. Going up to the door, Shangguan Qingyan stopped him from knocking. Wait, what is it? Zhuofan asked. Shangguan Qingyan gnashed her teeth. Is young Sanzi's mother still alive? Zhuofan frowned, then nodded. Do you love her? Zhuofan's eyes shook and gave a firm nod. Shangguan Qingyan took the lead and knocked on the door. Zhuofan was startled. What's with this chick and her questions? Shangguan Qingyan never looked at him and kept her head low. Gu Santong opened the door with a bored look. What took you so long? That rotten guy has returned ages ago. He, you mean cousin, right? He'll soon become your uncle, my brother. You should show him some respect and not call him names. Gu Santong's appearance washed away all of Shangguan Qingyan's troubles, hugging the pouting child and pecking him. Come, young Sanzi, let me kiss you. She put him down, then went on cheerfully. Gu Santong eyed Zhuofan oddly. Dad, what's up with Annie? How should I know? Rolling his eyes, Zhuofan paused, then started. Young Sanzi, what did you call her? Ugh. Gu Santong blushed. Auntie? Humph, you little brat. You're truly getting into your role, I see. Rubbing his little head, Zhuofan chuckled and went in. Unaware of Gu Santong's earnest face in the parlor, Zhuofan looked around to find it empty. What's going on? Did the Shangguan clan get scared of being ambushed and left? Noises came from around as Shangguan Feixiong came in with 3 elders. The other experts of Shangguan clan streamed in. A few hundreds, clapping hard and looking happy at him. Zhuofan felt awkward. Uncle, what? No need to say anything, we know. Shangguan Feiyun laughed. We know you're a hero that gained Shangguan Feiyun and Bailey Jingwei's trust and became their guest. Yifun, I knew you were going to pull it off, slipping into the flying cloud manner. And you've been hiding yourself well, 11th grade alchemist. If I knew, I'd only be sending you. Ha ha ha. Slapping Zhuofan's chest hard, Shangguan Feixiong was greatly relieved by his success. Yifun, you're truly a hero to our Shangguan clan. Chapter 892, Complement the Map. Chapter 892, Complement the Map. Proofreader, Papatonks. You're too kind, uncle. It's my honor to give my services to Shangguan clan. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan waved his hands around. He might sound humble, but the broad smile betrayed his thoughts. Shangguan Feixiong chuckled and shook his head. Zhuofan looked like was still up to his old habits. Unlike their blue bloods cultivators, but he had to admit the kid had done a great merit to him. A feat no other clansman could take from him. This alone made the details unimportant. They'd be addressed in the following days anyway. Even if he had the habits of a common man, the true style of a young master would be instilled into him in the coming years, and not shame. Shangguan clan. Shangguan Feixiong found Zhuo Fan all the more pleasing, laughing. The same went for the rest of the people here. All welcoming now. It was not their fault all of Shangguan clan's heroes sucked for the job, and only he could do it. The step-nephew of the clan head had risked life and limb for the clan. It was strange if they didn't welcome him. Using one's life to prove oneself had that effect on people. The constant looks of disdain in the recent past had now been replaced with approval. Some had yet to even stop clapping with a slow step. Someone came behind Zhuo Fan and patted his shoulder. Zhuo Fan looked back at Shangguan Yulin, only to find not an ounce of hostility in his eyes, even cupping his hands. Brother Gu, congratulations. Your great efforts had given the Shangguan clan stuck in despair a way forward. You have also helped me by covering my mistake. If not for you entering the manor, I, who has failed, would be condemned by the clan. Who knew how many lives would be lost as we burst into the manor blindly? Brother Gu has done a great service to the Shangguan clan, not seen for thousands of years, and saved so many of us. On behalf of myself and all my clansmen part of this attack, you have my deepest thanks, Brother Gu. Shangguan Yulin was tearing up and giving a low bow. His action touching, his respect commendable, earning the approval of all Zhuo fans sneered inside. He would have bought his act if not for already knowing this brat's twisted character. Since you want to play, let's play. Zhuo Fan's face split into a grin, blabbering as he helped him up. Cousin, don't say that. We're all in this together. We're all doing it for the Shangguan clan. There's no difference between us. It won't matter if you die, for there's me. So rest easy, ha ha ha. Ugh. Shangguan Yulin's face twitched. Did he just wish for me to die? Yifun, what nonsense are you talking about? How can he die? Aren't you all back safe and sound? Stop speaking ill in these times. Shangguan Feixiong frowned, and chided Zhuo Fan noticed his blunder and explained, No, uncle, that's not it. What I mean is I finished cousin's botched mission. Shangguan Yulin's eyes shook, his face twitching. How is this better? At least it was a presumption before, but now it's like I'm literally dead since you carried out my mission. He really wants me dead. No, uncle, I mean. Noticing Shangguan Yulin's dark face, the others chuckled at Zhuo Fan's act, making him nervous. I want to say that if the mission would have taken him from us, I would have taken it upon myself to finish it and give him peace. Shangguan Yulin was choking in rage, his chest rising with every breath, but he couldn't throttle him. Not with so many witnesses. This punk is fumbling and ranting nonsense. Why did I even bother talking to him? To make myself look worse. I can't touch him now, not when he has everyone's approval for finishing the mission. Thought the punk looks like he's spewing stuff in panic, but every time he doesn't realize he always comes back to wanting me dead. Have I done anything to him to deserve this slander? Zhuo Fan was growing flustered by the minute, while Shangguan Yulin held his head. Shangguan Feixiong didn't want this play to continue and said, all right, you don't need to say it. I'll speak in your stead. What you mean is that you're of the same heart with Yulin, that you both gave your all for the clan, right? Yes, that's exactly it. Zhuo Fan slapped his leg and beamed. I wanted to say that cousin deserves some of the credit. Brother Gu, you're too kind. Shangguan Yulin was bashful. Shangguan Feixiong laughed. You've always been so sharp-tongued, kid, but now you're quite vague. How can you be such a downer when you're that excited? Now I know why Yinner has been so crude lately. She's been hanging out with you, and you ruined her. Please forgive me, uncle, for ruining cousin. Like a child in the wrong. Zhuo Fan immediately played the victim card. Shangguan Feixiong ignored it. It's fine. As long as the heart is true, the details don't matter. Also, Yifun. Shangguan Feixiong grabbed Zhuo Fan's shoulder. I used to think taking you as my nephew was my greatest regret. I didn't think you'd help Shangguan clan so much so soon. I was right to take you in. Zhuo Fan's eyes were filled with emotion looking at his uncle Feixiong. Were also caught by surprise with the kid's character, smarts, and determination. It was the right choice in sending him on this task, ha ha ha. The three venerables threw in their 2 cents, laughing. The two rolled their eyes. These coots wouldn't have placed him as sub or put a watch on him if that was true with Shangguan Feixiong and the Venerable's approval. The rest of the clansmen were more open with Zhuo Fan. Shangguan Yulin's darkness only grew as he observed their joy. After the happy moment was gone, Shangguan Feixiong turned grave. Yifun, what have you found out while being a guest in the Flying Cloud Manor? Uncle, I wanted to explore the place, but I was accosted by Dragon-Cleaving Sword King for a long time. That's why. Dragon-Cleaving Sword King is here as well? Shangguan Yulin turned to Shangguan Yulin with a shocked look. Shangguan Yulin bowed. Uncle, I haven't seen a shadow of Dragon-Cleaving Sword King in the manor. I did not know of this. Shangguan Feiyun nodded inside. Shangguan Feiyun was bad enough. Now another Sword King came as well as Prime Minister Bailey Jingwei. This mission is becoming more dangerous by the second. If we can't get an idea of the area, rushing head-on will incur heavy losses, even more than last time. Everyone gave a hard nod. Don't worry, Uncle. I'll be sure to scout it perfectly. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone as he declared. He didn't want the Shangguan clan's attack to fail, since it'd ruin his own operation. Shangguan Feixiong was vexed. Yulin said Bailey Jingwei will take the selected alchemists to Imperial Capital in 5 days. Do you have enough time to scout a manor so large? Yes. Someone else responded this time. Everyone turned to Shangguan Qingyan. Rushing inside, Shangguan Feixiong asked, Yinner, you didn't even come to greet us when you came but run here now? What are you up to? Up to this. Shangguan Qingyan's brow twitched and Shangguan Qingyan giggled, spreading a sketch on the table for all to see. Shangguan Feixiong gasped, That's the map of the manor. With a smug grin, Shangguan Qingyan continued, While Dragon-Cleaving Sword King had been bothering Brother Gu, I used his token to wander the premises and assess the situation. But everything looked mostly normal, with some few places not allowing me entry even with the token. These are 5 in total, which makes me believe what we want is in one of these places. Shangguan Feixiong looked at the map and nodded. That means, my task is to complement the map. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. Chapter 893, Control. Chapter 893, Control. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. In the backyard, Shangguan Yulin sneaked out a jade slip when no one was around. He made a sign and shot into the sky as if nothing happened. He returned to his room and shut the door. Humph, Gu Yifun. Laugh while you can these 2 days, under uncle and others' care. But once Shangguan Feiyun ends them, you'll go down as well, ha ha ha. The mad cackle bounced off his walls, including his desire and hatred. Not a bad idea, but will it work? A rough voice pierced the quiet room. Shangguan Yulin was still caught in his fantasy, mocking, damn right. Flying Cloud Manor aren't fools, ugh. Shangguan Yulin caught himself as a blackness swirled around him. Everything went dark, even his vision and master. SSS. Shangguan Yulin gasped and soured. He was more than familiar with this image, or lack thereof. He met that sicko last time in the woods, but now it seemed he'd been followed back. Stuck in the same blackness, once more left a bitter taste in his mouth. This place is packed with Shangguan clan experts, yet you just barge in. Can a guy live in peace for once? Is there no safe place for me out there? Am I ever going to be free of this sicko? Shangguan Yulin whined, cursed and complained. In his mind, of course, Master, what is Sir doing here? Why, you're not happy to see me. No, no, no. I'm ecstatic you treat me with such care. Shangguan Yulin put away the sour tone and switched to flattery. Zhuo Fan smirked. Punk, don't think for a second Shangguan clan being here will stop me from taking care of you. Humph, there's no place out there I can't enter. Yes, yes, Sir is so amazing. I'm in awe. Bobbing his head, Shangguan Yulin kowtowed. Though his insides were bitter, finding this old sicko so able as to enter even here, this place was under Shangguan clan's supervision at all times to prevent any attack. Where Flying Cloud Manor's people would be found, and yet this old freak could just stroll right in. Don't tell me the sicko's stronger than those guys. It was better he didn't know that this sicko was next door. Ignorance was truly bliss in this case. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Did you get the word out? Shangguan Yulin wore a bright and dumb smile. Master, what do you mean? I don't. Bam! Zhuo Fan lashed his face with the dragon tail, sending him sprawling. Humph, boy, don't be a smart ass. I know your rotten character better than anyone. You have sided with Shangguan Feiyun and Bailey Jingwei today, and you still try to act dumb? Master, please don't say random things. I didn't side with them at all. I'm completely innocent. Shangguan Yulin denied it all with a victimized look. The Shangguan clan knows I've been eliminated from the competition and I'm not even hurt. How could I just betray my clan? Last time I agreed with Sir since you had me beaten to an inch of my life. Shangguan Yulin completely destroyed his image by tearing up. Shuo Fan raised an eyebrow and mocked. You think I'm like your clansman, ignorant? I've seen the 3-round competition Bailey Jingwei set up from the side. The first was a 7th grade pill, testing one's patrimony. Second was doing one's best, only worded so you go easy. While on the last round, that was the true test of one's alchemy, a topic I foresaw. The making of a perfect or top pill, ha ha ha. Don't you think it'll raise an eyebrow when you can make an 8th grade but not a top 7th grade? The first 2 rounds attested to you being an 8th grade alchemist, so making a top but lower grade pill was a given. This was Bailey Jingwei's final aim. Going up but never coming down. So don't insult me by telling me you lied your way out of Bailey Jingwei's clutches. Shangguan Yulin shuddered while his insides were frozen in shock. He was completely sold by the sicko's flawless analysis. Whether he hid to watch or just playing guesswork also, Bailey Jingwei is known as the wisest man in the empire. Not some brash musclehead to force you like me. Humph. He definitely struck your unsound mind at the time. What's so hard about convincing an anxious whelp anyway? Zhuo Fan berated. Kid, did you already forget the vivid and heavy vow you made me? To think you're trying to fool me, haha. Nice, very nice. It seems to me I should go search for another disciple. The black area seeped with bloodlust. Shuddering, Shangguan Yulin paled and begged, Master, forgive me. I was only joking. I didn't realize Master's ingenious intellect and made a mistake. Yes, I have sided with Shangguan Feiyun, but I didn't have a choice. They threatened my life. If I hadn't given in, fine, you betrayed Shangguan clan and not me. Anyway, why should I care? Zhuo Fan huffed. Besides, I just knew you have no bone in your back when I took you. There's nothing odd about a few atrocities or a double-crossing here and there. Shangguan Yulin's face twitched. For God's sake. The sicko's mocking me. He did hold his tongue, though, since he knew it was true, even if forced. I used to be such a compassionate young master back in the eastern lands, always upholding righteousness. How did it get to betraying one's roots the minute I came here? Twice even. But even if others don't know this, I'm still hurting from it. Then that punk kept on mocking me earlier, and now this sicko. This has got to be the worst year of my life. Shangguan Yulin lamented his fate as he heard the mockery coming from the darkness, unaware that the ones he was cursing were one and the same. Though it was better this way, lest he die from anger having been condescending enough for today, Zhuo Fan got down to business. Now why am I here bothering wasting words with you? It's for 2 reasons. You can betray anyone but your master. You still have my mark on you, so do watch out if you value your puny life. Yes, yes, I'll hold your warning to heart. Shangguan Yulin shuddered in fierce sneering. Zhuo Fan continued, and don't forget your promise. What's yours is mine. What the Shangguan clan wants, I also want. Yes, yes, I'll never ever forget. Shangguan Yulin lowered his shaking head and bowed again. Zhuo Fan nodded. Since you know now, next is the word you sent. Walk me through it. Yes, yes, master. It's nothing much, just that the Shangguan clan has a rough grasp of Flying Cloud Manor, lacking in a few places. They need that punk, Gu Yifan, to scout them. Oh, a map of the manor. Grinning, Zhuo Fan said, this way the map will be complete. Disciple, make me a copy as well. Shuddering, Shangguan Yulin's eyes darted around. What's the sicko planning to do with it? Is he after the manor's things as well? Then, Shangguan Yulin squinted, his mind calculating. Then he clenched his fists and said, Yes, I will have it, master. I'll leave it to you then. Ha ha ha. The darkness receded, revealing the room again. But the weird laughter echoed in his ears. I'll be dropping by again when the map is finished. As the cackling faded, Shangguan Yulin revealed an icy smile. Humph, you damn freak. I'll be sure to give you a thoroughly deadly map. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan felt great lashing at Shangguan Yulin. It was oddly therapeutic. Walking back to his room to see Gu Santong bored on the bed and playing with a new wooden toy, Fan knew it wasn't from him. Did the girl give it to you? Yeah. Quite childish, I see. For a 300-year-old man. Aren't you the same? Scaring children again? Gu Santong quipped back as he played. Fan chuckled. It's not scaring him, but controlling. While I am the connection between Flying Cloud Manor and the Shangguan clan in the open, he has two dark ties. I can control the Shangguan clan's actions, but he can influence Bailey Jingwei's decisions. By controlling him, I control the whole stage. Is he that happy to listen to you? Gu Santong asked. He can't be trusted. Fan nodded with a vague smile. He doesn't need to listen to me to use him. I just have to prod him in the right direction, and we're set. While the two sides are at war, we'll be getting what we want and flee. And auntie? Gu Santong spoke casually. Fan shrugged. That's Shangguan Feixiong's problem, since she's his daughter. We just need to focus on ourselves. We'll finish our end and then go to the next area. Gu Santong stiffened, then sighed. Chapter 894, Sword King's Visit. Chapter 894, Sword King's Visit. Proofreader, Papatonks. The world was tranquil around one gazebo, as a stream trickled by and birds danced in the light breeze. Paradise Bailey Jingwei, Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shan were having tea here, when something flashed closer and closer. Bailey Jingwei put out his hand and a jade slip rested in it, scanning it. Bailey Jingwei grinned at the two. The plan went perfectly. Shangguan clan doesn't suspect a thing, while Shangguan Yulin had done a great job in finishing his mission, dispelling any doubts anyone might have. Who knew that feisty girl had a son so cautious and sinister? That means she must have gotten a doormat for a man. Huh. Grinning, Shangguan Feiyun said. Did he say what Shangguan Feixiong is planning next? Bailey Jingwei nodded. Of course. It appears your niece has been going around the manor and got a grasp of the area. But there's still 5 places she couldn't go to. Now they want to have Grandmaster Gu to scout them to be safe. Humph. I see. Shangguan Feiyun sneered. I'd have opened the manor from the start if I knew this, to let them scout to their heart's content so they could attack already. It makes taking them all down faster. Bailey Jingwei shook his head. Sword King Feiyun, you're wrong. Haste makes waste. If it'd be that easy to get into Flying Cloud Manor, it would only make them more suspicious. And Shangguan Feiyun looked him in the eye. When Grandmaster Gu arrives, the ban will still be there. With such a tiny, radiant stage cultivation, he'll hardly take a step inside. He won't find anything. Ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei chuckled, going by Sword King Feiyun's words. Who knows when our plan will take effect? But like I said before, we'll destroy them in 2 weeks and not a day later. I don't have the time to play around Sword King Manor. I'm a busy man. Then what do you want to do? Have someone show him the way and fill in the blanks. With a confident smile, Bailey Jingwei said, starting tomorrow, we'll invite him to the manor, for fun, drinks, and meals, while giving him room to finish up the map. In this process, we need to adjust our attitude, make him believe we appreciate his alchemical talent while dispelling any doubts. When the Shangguan clan makes its move, we can also contain Grandmaster Gu so the thieves won't disturb him. Shangguan Feiyun nodded and mocked. Prime Minister Bailey, you're still placing Grandmaster Gu's safety as top priority. You sure like your talents, ha ha ha. As the Empire's Prime Minister, it's only natural for the Empire to seize talents. Bailey Jingwei smiled and looked at the ever-silent Danqing Shan, dragon-cleaving Sword King. I and Sword King Feiyun are more familiar with the Shangguan clan. It would arouse suspicion if any of us would go. I ask that Sir go tomorrow and invite Grandmaster Gu to the manor, to show my great regard for him. Danqing Shan nodded. Meanwhile, at Shangguan clan's interim base, there were a dozen people in the Three Venerables room. Clan head was present with the best experts his clan had, all in Genesis stage, yet they all had shadows flitting across their faces, rubbing his forehead. Shangguan Feixiong replied in annoyance, I didn't want to affect morale while in the parlor, and only celebrated Yifun's great success. But with all-important figures of the clan here, the pillars, I must be frank. There's too many unknowns regarding this second ambush, which amplifies the danger beyond our estimates. Clan head, are you referring to Bailey Jingwei and Danqing Shen? The men all knew the source of his vexation. Shangguan Feiyun sighed. Yes, They are the greatest variables to our mission. Danqing Shan is the best of Western lands, Shangguan Feiyun's equal. With them working together, the manor's power just doubled. And that isn't even the worst part, since our three venerables can hold them back for a time. The crux is that Bailey Jingwei, sagely statesman Bailey Jingwei, is cunning and devious. For almost a century now, the four lands have suffered from his tangled schemes. One venerable sighed, if he draws us into a corner and works with the two sword kings, our losses will be catastrophic. The others nodded heavily, however. Bailey Jingwei isn't like the two sword kings. In this game of chess, he is deploying the men. As the leader, he must know the other side's moves lest he comes under a surprise attack and throws his own side into confusion. Just how much does he know about our mission? Shangguan Feixiong's eyes flashed. If he's oblivious, we can use the map to assault the manor and increase our chances even with two sword kings. While the opposite is also true. Of course he knows. He's Bailey Jingwei, the wisest man in the Sword Star Empire. Nothing escapes him. I wonder about that. He came here to hold the Pill King convention and help heal the Crown Prince. He might not know about us. You mean Shangguan Feiyun wouldn't tell him? Ha ha ha, you don't understand Shangguan Feiyun. He's too prideful and arrogant. He'll never lower himself and call for help when his domain is in trouble, especially a sage. Shangguan Feixiong's words threw the room into chaos as everyone started talking. Some were for the mission now that they had such a great chance. Getting eyes and ears inside the enemy base was too rare of an occasion to pass up, while others opted to wait for Danqing Shan and Bailey Jingwei to leave first. As they posed the greatest threat, Shangguan Feixiong was plagued with indecision. This choice affected the life and death of his clan's main force. It was too much for him to bear. A rash choice here would damn his clan. It led to the Shangguan clansmen arguing on and on, well into the evening and then into dawn. Yet they showed no signs of stopping. Still, noon found Shangguan Feixiong's ears clogged with all the buzzing. But no outcome arose. Even now, the safe return of his spies, Shangguan Yulin and Zhuo Fan, proved Bailey Jingwei was none the wiser, or he'd have already caught them the minute they raised his suspicions. Shangguan Yulin assured him as well that Bailey Jingwei was only here to select alchemists to heal the Crown Prince's condition. Everything pointed to him being here for the Crown Prince and not them. Thus, Shangguan Feixiong called this meeting to discuss how to proceed. He could never otherwise ignore someone like Bailey Jingwei appearing out of nowhere, especially when he came with the dragon-cleaving sword king. Shangguan Feixiong has so much trust in his nephew that he was willing to go against his principles. It was also why he was now having a headache from all the shouting cries came from outside that broke the noise within the room. A man burst into the room, scared to death. Clan head, to there. How dare you barge into the venerable's room? We're in the middle of important talks. What the hell got you so shaken to run here? Shangguan Feixiong wiped his head around to bark at the Soul Harmony stage guard with no time for manners. The guard looked like he'd seen a ghost. An old man came. And just an old man sent you in a panic? He said he's dragon-cleaving sword king. What? Everyone froze, their faces paling. Shangguan Feixiong was really anxious now. Is he alone? Was there anyone else with him? The guard stammered, and no, but he said that he came to see Grandmaster Gu. Young Miss had me come notify you, clan head, on what to do. You idiot. What are you coming to me for? Go see Gu Yifan. He's the clan head of this house. Go have him deal with Danqing Shan. Shangguan Feixiong cursed. The guard, startled, darted from the room, and bobbed his head in panic. Now rushing to Zhuo Fan's room, sweating buckets, Shangguan Feixiong and the others were shaken up, giving a stiff nod. Let's go check what Danqing Shan's up to. Chapter 895, Invite. Chapter 895, Invite. Proofreader, Papatonks. A few chairs and a stone table were placed in the front yard, one of which was taken by a casual old man. Sipping tea like he was right at home. Next to him was a fine girl, carefully peeking at him and looking conflicted. Danqing Shan knew at a glance why, but played dumb. Miss Gu, what has gotten you so nervous? Feel free to return to your matters if you have to. I'll just wait here for Grandmaster Gu. It's not right. Cousin will surely blame me for leaving Sir Sword King unattended. Please overlook my uncouth and unfamiliar courtesy. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Qingyin stiffened and had a weird smile while her heart was burning in anger. Not in her wildest dreams did she think Dan Qingshun would pay a house visit. Leaving him alone was out of the question as well. The old guy might wander around and stumble upon her clan once exposed. Everything would be laid to ruin when they were so close. They'd suffer heavy losses before the second ambush even began. That was why, even if she was wound tighter than a violin, she held it in like a champ. On top of that, she was pissed. Where the hell is that guard I sent to report to Dad? What should I do? Why aren't you saying something, Dad? And where's that Gu Yifan? I'm close to dying here. With a knowing smile, Dan Qingshun began. Miss Gu is too kind. I just came on a whim, so you can treat me like any other old man. I wouldn't feel at ease otherwise. Dragon-cleaving Sword King is so modest. Seeing yourself as an average old man. Shangguan Qingyin smiled. Dan Qingshun waved casually as he teased. Well, if Miss Gu insists, seeing how Grandmaster Gu has yet to arrive, would it be possible to take a stroll around the back of this place? Dan Qingshun already got up air. Shangguan Qingyin shook, then grew a notch more nervous. This humble abode is nothing impressive compared to a Sword King's manor. I wouldn't want to let you down. How can it be? A mountain needn't be high / it is famous for the deity residing there. / a lake needn't be deep / it is magical with the dragon slumbering beneath the surface. / my home is humble / but my presence brings it virtue. No matter how shabby Grandmaster Gu's home is, an 11th grade alchemist's house is leagues above anyone else's. Ha ha ha. Smiley face, an epigraph in praise of my humble home by Lu Yuqi. Dan Qingshun started walking away SSS. Gasping, Shangguan Qingyin was scared to death. Rushing to stop him, she teared up, Sir Sword King, there's really nothing impressive about this place. Please relax here and enjoy your tea. Miss Gu, you're looking a bit off there. Are you ill? Yes, I am feeling somewhat unwell. You have to take your medicine quickly and get some rest. You don't need to look after me. I can walk around by myself. Ha ha ha. Dan Qingshun snickered as he toyed with the wee lass. Shangguan Qingyin shook all over, tears welling in her eyes. What do I do? How do I stop him? A laughter came from behind. Sir Sword King, you honor this house with your presence. What could have made Sir come here? What can I do, Sir, for? See, cousin. Zhuofan was walking over at his own casual pace. Shangguan Qingyin burst with joy. Looking at him like a savior, Zhuofan laughed and sighed at her frantic look. Yenner, your condition isn't stable. Go back in and rest. Leave dragon-cleaving Sword King in my care. All right. Shangguan Qingyin nodded and gave him a look. With a respectful gesture to Dan Qingshun, she left free, like an inmate finishing his sentence. Watching her skip away in glee, Dan Qingshun mocked, ha ha ha, this girl is like an escaped bird. Guess she had been terrified. And whose fault is that, I wonder? What are you doing messing with a little girl anyway? Zhuofan chuckled. Dan Qingshun shrugged. Can you blame me? Since when is receiving guests done in the front yard and not the parlor or even backyard? Now that's just rude. It's not like you don't know. It won't help anyone's case when everything comes to light. Zhuofan rolled his eyes, pointing at a stone stool. Let's just talk here, lest you want everyone to soil themselves in fright. Why? Am I that scary? What do you think? Sighing, Zhuofan said. You just haven't seen for yourself how close to losing it that Shangguan clan guard who came to tell me was. Anyone would be scared to death when one of the central area's 9 Sword Kings pays them a visit. Even before coming here, I saw the Shangguan clan huddled together in fright as they watched me come here, with even Shangguan Feixiong spilling his tea. Dan Qingshun sneered as he returned to his chair. Shangguan Feixiong? Ha ha, the last time I saw him he didn't look scared. The last time he was Eastern Land's strongest clan's clan head, while now he's a spy in the central area. How is that the same? Would you have attacked him in Eastern Lands? Would he attack you now, in the Flying Cloud City? Zhuofan rolled his eyes and mocked, sitting next to Dan Qingshun. Dan Qingshun nodded. Harsh, but true. It's not the same. Ha ha ha. So, why are you? Bailey Jingwei sent me. Like you predicted, they want to sow dissension. With a smirk, Dan Qingshun began to retell everything they spoke, ending with a sigh. Boy, You're really something, I'll give you that, to hold your own against that old weasel Bailey Jingwei. To the point you're having complete control over everything from the shadows. Zhuofan showed a wide smile. Great, since they want to sow dissension, he'll make things easy on this little old spy. Exactly how I like it. Ha, little weasel. Danqing Shan snickered. Zhuofan gave him a long look, and they both cracked up. They were both happy in their own way. Zhuofan, for seeing his plan coming along, and Danqing Shan, for helping a good friend regardless. The two were in high spirits and nothing could curb their good mood. Clan head, young Master Gu is quite good. He's handling dragon-cleaving Sword King like a pro. There's not a trace of fear in him. Amazing. Now I get why Bailey Jingwei didn't spot him. The Shangguan clan's experts were watching from the shadows as they hid in the elder's room while words did not reach them. The mood was enough to tell them how friendly they were. Shangguan Feixiong nodded in pride. I've made the right decision taking in this step, nephew. Clan head is brilliant. The others sucked up to him and praised, with only Shangguan Yulin feeling sour inside. Zhuofan and Danqing Shan finished their short talk, called Shangguan Qingyan to tell her about something, then stunned the Shangguan clan as they just went out. Once they were gone, Shangguan Feixiong rushed straight for Shangguan Qingyan. Yinner, what happened? Why is Danqing Shan taking Yifan? Oh, Dad, it's you. Having a mob of experts assaulting her scared her for a second. But seeing it was Shangguan Qingyan and the rest, she spoke heavily. Father, Danqing Shan invited Sir Gu to the manor. He looks to value him. This time it'll be a good chance to finish the map. Pa. Clenching his fists, Shangguan Feixiong was overly excited. Turning to the rest, did Danqing Shan notice us while he was here? Clan head, we have a barrier in the back to cover our auras. He shouldn't have noticed us. Great, this is providence. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes flashed, his tone firm. Men, we've quarreled enough on this mission. Flying Cloud Manor wants Yifan so bad while ignoring this house. This shows they don't know about us. Not to mention we saw Yifan's attitude just now. He and Dragon-Cleaving Sword King are friendly and I bet, so are the other two. Then we must relax and make use of this rare opportunity. All we need now is for Yifan to finish the map and the attack will commence. They all cupped their fists and shouted, Yes, sir. Shangguan Yulin grinned. Shangguan Yulin was by the side smiling in pride, with something sinister hidden within. Chapter 896, Jade Falls. Chapter 896, Jade Falls. Proofreader, Papatonks. Back at Flying Cloud Manor once more, he was met with the same imposing gait, the same impressive guards, yet a most contrasting welcome. Danqing Shan and Zhuofan were met with bows of respect all around. Welcome, Dragon-Cleaving Sword King and Grandmaster Gu, a blessing to you. Zhuofan shot up to the level of the 9 Sword Kings practically and literally overnight. Even he was taken aback at the treatment. He noticed Danqing Shan shrugging and leading the way with a smile. Zhuofan rose an eyebrow, following with a peculiar smile. Passing many pavilions and gardens, the two arrived at a fabulous and grandiose hall. Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun were waiting for them in their seats. Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Gu, you're here at last. Have you handled your matters home? Shangguan Feiyun welcomed him with a laugh. Zhuofan gave a short bow. Sword King Feiyun needn't trouble. There's not much to look after at home, mostly finishing the chores, and I swiftly accepted Sword King's invitation. Might I ask what was the reason? Grandmaster, you're talking like I'm forcing you. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Feiyun laughed again with a casual wave. He took Zhuofan's wrist, being overly friendly. There are just 5 days before Grandmaster will be leaving for the imperial capital with Prime Minister Bailey. With your skill and potential, you're sure to become the main alchemist in the imperial capital in no time. Grandmaster may even be under Invincible Sword, Patriarch's favorite. Those days will make it even harder for me to see Grandmaster in person. Before it comes to pass, I wanted to get to know Grandmaster better and have you leave my jurisdiction with peace of mind. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan nodded, chuckling and cupping his hands. Sword King, you're just too kind to me. Shangguan Feiyun was a typical flatterer right now, striking before he reached fame to get close and earning returns when he went big. But what was even clearer was Shangguan Feiyun's utmost respect was to give him the chance to scout the place. I'm not denying you anything because I'm fawning all over you. Making intelligence gathering too easy would rouse suspicions instead. But now this problem was solved through this most logical explanation. Taking a look around him, Zhuo Fan knew this was one of the 5 blank spots on Shangguan Qingyan's map. He just got to the manor and already filled one gap in the map. Bailey Jingwei sure is meticulous, filling in all the details. From indulging his scout role to setting up the place for this guest, all was done within reason. He figured all of this out only because he had someone playing triple agent with every side. Ha ha ha. The world is going down the drain if even the proud Sword King Feiyun mastered the art of ingratiating. Bailey Jingwei laughed and walked over to them, afraid Zhuo Fan didn't get such an obvious hint. Kid, Shangguan Feiyun won't do nothing to you no matter what you break in this manner, or what place you barge into. All because he wants to get closer to you, so don't doubt for a second a scheme is afoot. This confirmed Zhuo Fan's conjectures even more. They were throwing the info to his feet. Why am I being tough? The time is now. Zhuo Fan grinned. Shangguan Feiyun found his act lacking, so he went on, grabbing Zhuo Fan's shoulder and glaring at Bailey Jingwei. Prime Minister, how can you say that? Grandmaster Gu is a genius coming from my own domain. What's wrong with being a good host in my own home by looking after Grandmaster Gu? Don't use your corrupt official rules on me. I appreciate talent just as you do, and I value Grandmaster Gu the most. Sword King Feiyun, does the manor have some marvels and sceneries that I can enjoy? Zhuo Fan cut him off with stars in his eyes. Shangguan Feiyun shook, giving him a flat look. Bailey Jingwei was taken off guard as well. I haven't even finished my script to justify your visit to the manor yet you drop this sudden line? That saves us the foreplay, showing you right in, spy. Shangguan Feiyun laughed and gestured an invitation. Of course there are. Right this way, Grandmaster Gu. I dare say my manor has the best views, comparable even with the Thunder Pavilion in the imperial capital. You, sir, will be amazed at the breathtaking experience. I can hardly wait. Zhuo Fan was excited as well, rubbing his hands as his eyes shone. He cared not what the Shangguan clan and Flying Cloud Manor were up to, just that his goal just so happened to be here. While they want dissension, I'll use my role as a spy this time to find what I want in this place. It just doesn't get any better than this. Shangguan Feiyun grabbed Zhuo Fan and walked him out like an old friend. Dan Qingshan chuckled and turned serious. Prime Minister Bailey, you guys have made a script for hours to get Grandmaster Gu to play along. Now, instead of affirming your fears of finding it out, he just went head in with the script, falling for the first line and scouting the manor. If you knew, you and Sword King Feiyun would have just took him strolling instead. Ha ha. Right you are. Bailey Jingwei chuckled as he shook his head. I've never seen a newbie spy like Grandmaster Gu in my life. He's not meandering at all, but reveals his goal from the start. We'd have long since thrown him into a torture chamber to squeeze the info out of him if we hadn't already known everything. So much planning, all gone to waste on this green spy. Even if we continued to fake it, he'd still not care because he was no spy, but an alchemist. Dan Qingshan remained silent, showing only a smirk. Know everything? Ha ha, Prime Minister. Why this kid here knows way more than even the greatest sage in the Empire. Dan Qingshan and Bailey Jingwei smiled. Following after them, Shangguan Feiyun took Zhuo Fan in the backyard, where another blank spot on the map was located. Zhuo Fan was excited now. Is there another whirlwind tunnel here? The roaring of a waterfall rumbled in his ears. Zhuo Fan barely contained his joy, as even his body shook. Shangguan Feiyun didn't notice it as he led the way. They soon arrived before a 300-meter-tall waterfall, revealed to them in the form of a white curtain. Glittering stars rained down from above. What made this waterfall so special was the lack of any cliffs. The water just fell from the air in an unending suspended river that wound through unseen obstacles before climbing back into the skies. This was a waterfall made of one complete circle of water, with the flow shaping all kinds of spaces, even tumbling in some areas. The sheer spectacle was enough to leave Zhuo Fan speechless. As water went down, man climbed up a common saying that was toppled here and now. Water was not only taking form, but expressed different states, from soft to hard, even without Sword King Feiyun's words. He knew this was the whirlwind tunnel he wanted to find. With a prideful look, Shangguan Feiyun pointed. Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Gu, wasn't I right? This here is the most amazing sight in the world. Jade falls, endless and flowing. The water just stands in the air, held by nothing, unmarred by the mortal world, yet solid as any mountain. It is a cultivator's paradise with its incredible spiritual energy, even more so for a water cultivator. It also helps calm one's restless heart. The ones who can't make use of it are those related to alchemy and refining. I can see that. Zhuofan nodded. Even so, it's still a great place to cultivate. Truly, everyone looks upon Sword King Feiyun with envy for you, to have such a paradise at your disposal. Shangguan Feiyun chuckled. Oh, no, this is bestowed by the world. I couldn't possibly take it for myself, and I'm also not gaining as much from it from our incompatible attributes. The only help comes from clearing one's Tao heart. Zhuofan nodded. Zhuofan's right arm flashed an eerie red glow, and a thick bloodthirst shot from the waterfall at him. Zhuofan was shocked. So were the rest. Shangguan Feiyun welcomed him in his own home. Yet now someone dared to attack. Chapter 897. Soaring Sword. Chapter 897. Soaring Sword. Proofreader. Papatonks. Whoosh. As the water sprayed everywhere, a flash of red sword aura from the falls shot right at Zhuofan. The icy, piercing bloodthirst bit into his face, making his skin crawl. A sacred weapon? Zhuofan's heart thumped. His fists balled up. This was his second time seeing a sacred weapon, first being in the double dragon manner where the vaulting sword got him good. Not even the nigh indestructible Qilin arm could hold it back. With such a sharp edge, there was hardly anything out there that could truly resist it. The sacred beast aura must have triggered it. The only way to stop it is with my divine eye of the void. Forged by the heavenly sovereign and sword sovereign, this sacred weapon would be meek in the face of its master's power. Unfortunately, he wasn't alone this time around, with 3 other spectators. By pushing back a sacred weapon now was the same as blowing his cover. It would make all his efforts so far useless. Zhuofan's heart tensed in hesitation. Not knowing what to do as the crimson sword aura drew closer and closer, he was stuck in a dilemma. Nonetheless, his right eye flashed golden, ready to act if needed be. First priority would always be his life, of course. How dare you come out when I'm with an important guest? Leave at once. The roaring voice of Shangguan Feiyun echoed out. Zhuofan chuckled with a sneer. He'd never believe it for a second that Shangguan Feiyun could control the raging sacred weapon. Genesis stage they might be, at peak of the mortal domain, but mortals all the same. Yet they thought of commanding a sacred weapon? You should be grateful the great weapon a sovereign forge would even allow you to wield it. Instead of respecting its parent, you holler at it and expect it to bow down? That's a 6th grade sacred weapon, not some spiritual toothpick. It demands respect. Only to look on with a dumb look at what he was witnessing the next moment. The red sword faltered in midair and hovered. Actually listening to Shangguan Feiyun. Zhuofan's eye twitched. No way. What's a 6th grade sacred weapon doing, listening to some mortal domain citizen? Bruh, you're the best of the best, made by a sovereign himself. So how can you just fall so low as to obey some Genesis stage expert? Where's your dignity? Where's your pride? Did you lose them on your way down to the moral domain? Zhuofan watched the inconceivable play with mixed emotions. He had to switch vaulting sword soul with blood infant to get that one now though. Shangguan Feiyun had done him one better. With this one sword soul completely capitulating to him. It was the only logical explanation for this ridiculous scene. It made him wonder though. Why is a sovereign made sacred weapon giving in just like that? Why is it going against heavenly sovereign's order to kill the sacred beasts and listening to Shangguan Feiyun instead? Zhuofan stood there, rooted in doubt. Shangguan Feiyun took it for fear and laughed in apology. Grandmaster Gu, forgive me. This sword is the greatest treasure of eastern lands I brought along. Soaring divine sword, which needs a place of thick spiritual energy to reside in. So I just placed it in the Jade Falls along with sacred stones. Unlike any spiritual weapon, this divine weapon has a will of its own and shuns strangers. It must have sensed you and burst out. Forgive me for letting it scare Grandmaster. It's fine. It's my honor to witness the great Eastern Land's divine weapon, Soaring Sword. Ha ha ha, Zhuofan chuckled. Shangguan Feiyun and Bailey Jingwei shared a nod and an evil grin. With the Soaring Sword's location known, all that's left is for them to make a move. Humph. Hum. But then the red sword aura flashed once more, followed by the soaring sword disregarding Shangguan Feiyun's order as it attacked Zhuo Fan again. The immense pressure and savagery took his breath away. Shangguan Feiyun narrowed his eyes and barked, "Soaring sword, stop this instant. He's my honored guest." Clang. The soaring sword expressed its refusal with a ringing sound, still coming at Zhuo Fan to end him where he stood. "Curses, I thought I told you to stop already." With a mask of rage, Shangguan Feiyun drew two fingers together and swiped. A sword energy shot straight at soaring sword. Bam. The sky cracked with a deafening thunderclap. The shockwave spread throughout the whole of Flying Cloud Manor. The guard held their ears in pain as they bled from eyes, nose, and mouth. The weaker ones had it worse, knocked out on the spot. Not that the closest Soul Harmony and Genesis stage experts closest to Bailey Jingwei and Zhuo Fan fared any better. Lucky that Danqing Shan was there to take the brunt, canceling it with the gale he sent with a casual swipe of his hand. It by no means managed to relieve Zhuo Fan of his frown. Amazed by what he was seeing instead of feeling fear, soaring sword actually halted at Shangguan Feiyun's attack, even if it kept shaking in midair. This can't be. Zhuo Fan was stunned once more by the soaring sword. The sacred weapons were outrageously strong. He should know, since just one meager sword energy was enough to pierce his Qilin arm. How was it that now some guy's attack got it stuck? Zhuo Fan was finding it hard to accept. Is that attack so much stronger than the sacred weapon? That's absurd. Even if it wasn't a sovereign-made weapon, it's a 6th-grade sacred weapon for a reason. It just can't be so weak as to be trapped under some mortal's attack. But reality couldn't be denied. Sword King Feiyun held more strength in handling Heavenly Sovereign's sacred weapon than he who used Tricks Hum. The soaring sword rang as it shook in the air, but it was soon apparent it was growing weaker. Shangguan Feiyun kept his fingers out all this time. Getting weaker? Then get back in there and recover. Don't let me catch you bursting out and scaring my guests again. Shangguan Feiyun flicked his hand, and the Shangguan Feiyun was flung back. It tumbled through the air before entering the waterfall. Zhuo Fan eased a breath, giving Shangguan Feiyun a long look. He really is the best in Eastern lands for a reason. Grandmaster Gu, everyone, I must apologize. I don't know what has gotten into that divine sword to scare you. Please forgive me. Shangguan Feiyun looked contrite as he cupped his hands. Bailey Jingwei laughed offhandedly. That divine weapon has always been weird. It must be our sudden arrival into its domain that provoked the divine weapon. No apology necessary. We wouldn't have gotten to witness Sword King Feiyun's great skill otherwise. Sword King Feiyun's soaring sword art has improved even more. Ha ha ha. Prime Minister, there's no need to joke. I take full responsibility for this mistake. Shangguan Feiyun chuckled and turned to Zhuo Fan. I must have startled you, Grandmaster Gu. Why don't you go to your room, now that it is ready, and rest for the day? I shall be personally giving you a tour of the garden tomorrow, and use the chance to get closer. Zhuo Fan bowed, looking disturbed, but forced a smile. Sword King is too kind. I can only accept the offer. Let us continue tomorrow. The others bowed and Danqing Shan said, I'll show Grandmaster Gu to his room. At the nod of the other two, Zhuo Fan and Danqing Shan walked out of sight. Bailey Jingwei whined out of earshot. Shangguan Feiyun, I only asked you to reveal the soaring sword to Grandmaster Gu to patch up the map, but you went overboard with making a scene and scaring him as well. He's just a radiant stage cultivator. What if you scared his wits away too? How are you going to find me another talent with the potential to become the best alchemist in the world? Prime Minister Bailey, it wasn't me. Shangguan Feiyun frowned. Bailey Jingwei gave him a look. Who else is there? You're the only one in the Flying Cloud Manor that commands the soaring sword. That's just it. Shangguan Feiyun gave a perplexed sigh. I wanted to lead him to Jade Falls to give him a peek of the soaring sword. But for some strange reason, the sword came out by itself and attacked Grandmaster Gu. It had such a thick bloodlust too, that it overrode my command. This has never happened before. Bailey Jingwei frowned, filled with doubt. Does him being a stranger have anything to do with it, I wonder? The manor is filled with strangers, but none triggered soaring sword's bloodlust. Just what is going on here? Shangguan Feiyun gnashed his teeth, his eyes flashing. Chapter 898. Sacred Weapon Get. Chapter 898. Sacred Weapon Get. Proofreader. Papatonks. In the peaceful gardens, an old man and a youth walked shoulder to shoulder. The guards didn't mind them once Shuafan saw the coast was clear and gave Dan Qingshan a questioning gaze. Old Dan, how come Shangguan Feiyun has such an easy time controlling the soaring sword? Back in Double Dragon Manor, the vaulting sword got me good. Its power isn't something just anyone can block. Can't you tell? It's because he grew up alongside the sword and understands its nature. Dan Qingshan glanced at him. It only worked to puzzle Shuafan more. What's that supposed to mean? Boy, why do you think the factions covet the 5 divine weapons that can become guardian divine weapons? Dan Qingshan had a smirk on his face. Shuafan blurted, since the 5 divine weapons are outstanding, can cut anything, making the wielder fight 10 at a time, and can even kill a stage above the wielder. There's nothing strange about being called a guardian divine weapon either. Haha, wrong. What you describe there is anything with a sharp edge, not nearly enough for a divine weapon to earn the respect of all experts in the world. Why would the invincible sword be afraid and desire them then? I guess you haven't entered Double Dragon Manor yet. Haha, do you want to know why the 9 sects of Western lands would just send their disciples thousands of miles away to fight in the Double Dragon Gathering for the chance to cultivate in the Double Dragon Manor? Since Double Dragon Manor monopolized the sacred stones, right? Shuafan continued with a frown. Sacred stones are the fastest way to groom outstanding disciples and guard Western lands, along with its resources and interests. What other reason is there? With a teasing grin, Dan Qingshan nodded. You're not wrong there. But sacred stones aren't limited to having a thick spiritual energy. They can also wash one's marrow, improving a cultivator's constitution. As for the most important reason, well, ha ha ha. Dan Qingshan pointed at his head. Brains? Shuafan lit up. Dan Qingshan rolled his eyes. Speaking of brains, there are many wise men out there who can use their heads far better than cultivators. Like Bailey Jingwei and other high officials of empires, smarter than cultivators alike. Why is it that the Double Dragon Manor didn't invite them over? You mean insight? Dan Qingshan's eyes shone, his voice firm. Cultivators gain insight in the world around them. It's a must to learn all the arts and skills out there. The level of insight will make 2 cultivators feel completely different despite using the same skill and having the same cultivation. Double Dragon Manor is holding their contest to look into the sects for seeds with high insight. I'm sure you noticed by now that power isn't enough to get you in. While insight and power go hand in hand, it's not always the case. You've seen the 4 girls' array at the gathering, how weak it was. Yet they got invited anyway. This is the reason. That array holds the world, giving the 4 girls value in being nurtured. Shuafan raised an eyebrow. Having mentioned Chu Qingqing's group, Dan Qingshan reminded him of his pain. But he soon recovered. What's that got to do with the 5 divine weapons? Plenty. Dan Qingshan turned grave. The divine weapons can open one's mind, helping the user understand better arts and skills. That's understanding, not learning. It's not just handed to you on a jade slip, but something you discover out of nowhere. This is insight. A low insight blocks you from understanding the inner workings of the world and its Tao, while also stopping you from gaining a unique skill of your own. It's why I have twin souls and the dragon cleaving art. Everything stemmed from the insight the vaulting sword invested in me. The same applies to Shangguan Feiyun's soaring sword art. He understood from the soaring sword. Almost every top expert of the lands has their power stemming from the understanding of the divine weapon. The level of their strength is set apart only by their insight. The most known is Invincible Sword Bailey Yutian. That old freak's sundering sword art has reached perfection. Nothing and no one can stop him. But it's not enough to make him relax, fearing there might be someone out there that would gain equal insights from other divine weapons like he did. That's why, shuddering, Shuafan was so overwhelmed he blocked out Dan Qingshan's last words. He came to know a shocking secret. The 5 sacred weapons weren't just in the 6th grade, but also contained Sword Sovereign's sword path. The mortal domain cultivators were walking the path of the Sword Sovereign treaded through these sacred weapons. That's why Shangguan Feiyun can control the soaring sword. He got most of the soaring sword's core sword skill that the soaring sword is based on. Heaven Trailing Sect's High Venerable's words came to mind just then. He was near the vaulting sword and understood in 3 days his unique skill. Heaven trailing sword, only his contact with the sacred weapon was very short, making his understanding lacking compared with Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shun, who had great insights on top of being around the weapons for longer. This was not to say the heaven trailing sword wasn't in a league of its own. Now that was a unique skill. It meant that Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shun, who spent their days understanding the sacred weapon, more fully comprehended the sword sovereign's sword. They of course were even more amazing. Zhuo Fan now lost all his disdain for the top brass of the mortal domain. Looking at it from a certain angle, they were training in the arts of sacred domain. With the knowledge a sovereign left behind, Zhuo Fan turned serious, regretting how he had the vaulting sword with him for 2 years, yet it was used as nothing more than a glorified paperweight, having learned nothing from it. Even if the sword spirit got swapped, the knowledge was still there somewhere. He didn't pick up swordsmanship all this time since he didn't want to practice it, and also because he saw no one around him worthy to teach him. Now, though, the sacred weapon had inside a sovereign's legacy. How could he just let this monumental occasion slip by? That's for later, though. What takes priority is the job, sealing the whirlwind tunnel and giving this town the slip with young Sanzi. Seeing him deep in thought, obviously oblivious to his words, Danqing Shun rolled his eyes. Anyways, be extra careful. Divine weapons are treasured anywhere in this world. The Shangguan clan isn't here to get the soaring sword back just cause it's sharp, but escape from invincible sword's oppressive yoke, while also bearing the responsibility for future experts. This applies to all lands. If you plan on going after the divine weapon, know that not just Shangguan Feiyun, but even Bailey Jingwei will come for you. I know that. I'll be extra careful. Zhuo Fan chuckled with a carefree smile. Danqing Shun nodded after a long look. He knew just how smart Zhuo Fan was and that he had his own plans, so he just reminded him. He then left Zhuo Fan in his room the next day. Shangguan Feiyun came to knock on his door to give him a tour of the premises and complete the map. Zhuo Fan milked his new role for all it's worth in the meanwhile, exploring the manor's every corner, raising questions and earning answers to any and all things he didn't know or understand. The only thing missing were the holes the mice left in Shangguan Feiyun's room. Other than that, he knew the place like the back of his hand. In face of Zhuo Fan's brazen and absurd requests, Shangguan Feiyun's group acted offhandedly, answering every time, while grumbling inside. This spy is getting a bit out of hand here. He's even asking about the guard's shift change. For God's sake. Do we look like idiots to you? Anyone with half a brain will know you're Shangguan clan's spy the minute you ask that. What are you doing even asking them? Shangguan Feiyun noticed Zhuo Fan didn't ask out brazen attitude, but out of awkwardness just when Bailey Jingwei was having enough of this poor excuse of a spy. Zhuo Fan's next question took the cake. I wonder if there are any secret escape tunnels out of the manor. Not telling. Shangguan Feiyun's face twitched and chuckled. Grandmaster Gu, how can Flying Cloud Manor have something like that? Why are you asking anyway? Run. Zhuo Fan spoke with utter conviction. I heard the manor was under attack by assassins a while back. I need to know so I can flee if they come again. Shangguan Feiyun gave him a long look. This was a sore spot for him. Why is he so cheerfully asking about it? Isn't he scared I'll suspect him? Bailey Jingwei was far more astute. Grandmaster Gu isn't as green as I thought. He knows how to probe for information. Flying Cloud Manor has the Sword King. There's no thief who'd dare enter here. And we'll be returning to the imperial capital soon. We'll need Grandmaster Gu to look after the Crown Prince's conditions soon. Bailey Jingwei's meaning was clear. I came for the Crown Prince and have no time to dawdle around. Do what you need. Attack the manor while at it. But I'll be going either way. Zhuo Fan smiled and nodded, meeting Bailey Jingwei's eyes and sharing agreement. The 5 days flew by and Zhuo Fan's map was made whole as a result. Though he wasn't exactly keen on giving it to the Shangguan clan as the Soaring Sword and the Jade Falls happened to be in the same place, he and them now had a conflict of interests. He needed lots of time for his job, and that meant the Shangguan clan had to fight it out with Shangguan Feiyun, preferably elsewhere. Chapter 899. Reporting. Chapter 899. Reporting. Proofreader. Papatonks. Grandmaster Gu. We'll be setting off first thing in the morning. The dawn of the 4th day came, yet Zhuo Fan hadn't even asked to go back to his home, while Bailey Jingwei had since been wanting him to do so from the start. So he gave Zhuo the perfect excuse to report back. Going to Imperial Capital will mean seeing His Majesty and then His Highness to cure him. Things will get very complicated for a long time, making settling your family hard. You're going to have to leave your family for a while, Grandmaster Gu. So before we go, would you like to go home and say your goodbyes? So you won't appear cold. Zhuo smiled, getting the gist. Prime Minister is so thoughtful. It's my intention as well. Then Grandmaster Gu can return to his family for today, and the Dragon-Cleaving Sword King shall escort us to the Imperial Capital the next day. It's been half a month now since I left the Imperial Capital, and we can't delay addressing the Crown Prince's state any longer. Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed. Looking restless, Zhuo grinned inside while giving a nod. I admire Prime Minister's devotion, a pillar of the nation and its people. Be at ease, sir. I shall give my very best in curing the Crown Prince once we arrive, as gratitude for Prime Minister's favor now. Thank you, Grandmaster Gu. The day is nevertheless short, so hurry back to your family. Bailey Jingwei waved him off with a kind smile. Zhuo retreated after a bow. Just as he faded from view, it was Shangguan Feiyun's cue to step in from a side door. Snickering, going to give his report? Yes, now it's their move. Ha ha ha. Beaming, Bailey Jingwei leaned back on his chair, easing into it and feeling control over the entire board. None could escape his palm. Zhuo went to the Shangguan clan with a clear mind and intent to give them the map they tasked him to patch up. He just opened the door and Shangguan Qingyan yanked him in, not forgetting to stick her head out after and check if the coast was clear. She closed the door shut and pulled him to the parlor. Hurry up, Dad and everyone are getting impatient. Uncle's waiting for me? Zhuo asked. Bailey Jingwei only let me off today. How did you guys know so fast? Shangguan Qingyan rolled her eyes. Of course we didn't know. Dad and the Venerables had always been eager for good news ever since you left, waiting and waiting. But then it took 5 days. Any longer, and Dad would have sent me over to ask for you. Nodding, Zhuo saw just how crucial the operation was for Shangguan Feixiong, and how tense they were because of it. Better for him, actually, since it made fooling them easier. Getting to be the final winner in this mission was going to be a walk in the park. Now Zhuo grinned, letting Shangguan Qingyan take him to the parlor. Shangguan Feixiong and the others were beyond restless, pacing all over the place. Maybe the chairs had splinters in them. Dad, Sir Gu is back. Her bright voice echoed throughout the room, pulling on everyone's jittery heartstrings. Every pair of eyes were fixed on Zhuo plain face with a burning gaze. Seeing him so casual filled them with respect and expectations. It was like meeting their ancestor. Shangguan Feixiong stepped forward and took a deep breath. He grabbed Zhuo shoulder and spoke eagerly. Yifan, why you're back at last? SSS. The weight was too much on Shangguan Feixiong's nerves, forgetting himself and squeezing hard. Zhuo winced. Uncle, why your hand? Oh, sorry, I got a little too excited there. Ha. Letting go. Shangguan Feixiong gave an awkward smile, then he turned serious. Yifan, how is it? Is the map? Grinning from ear to ear, Zhuo hand glowed to reveal a white paper cover in squiggles. Most defined and intricate. Uncle, rest easy knowing that there's not a stone unchecked in the manner when I made this map. Chapter 900. Real and Fake Maps. Chapter 900. Real and Fake Maps. Proofreader, Papatonks. Yifan, you've done exemplary work once more. Ha ha. Shangguan Feixiong's lips quivered as he laughed, unable to hold himself from slamming Zhuo shoulder again and making Zhuo wince under the force. He only had those teary eyes to show for the pressure he was under, blocking the man from crushing him some more. Zhuo beamed. Uncle, are you after the soaring sword? Yes, with how you've done the clan such great service twice. I'll tell you. Shangguan Feixiong sighed. The highest powers of Shangguan have gone through a great journey from the eastern lands to the central area. But it wasn't to get the traitor Shangguan Feiyun, since we couldn't defeat him even back home, to say nothing in his own turf. We did it all for the greatest treasure of eastern lands, Soaring Sword. It must be hard to imagine just how important it is to us. Zhuo kept his understanding of the matter silent, though if it weren't for Dan Qingshan's mention, he'd still be oblivious of the 5 sacred weapons roles. That the sacred weapon was not just a single man's strength, but the glory of a clan. Of course they'd go through hell to get it back. Shangguan Feixiong took his silence for ignorance and chuckled as he thanked. Anyway, Yi Fun. Because of you, Shangguan clan's glory will continue. The clan will never forget what you've done for us. You're our most glorious member. Really? Does that mean I can strut around the clan? Raising an eyebrow, Zhuofan chuckled. Putting on a mischievous act, Shangguan Feixiong laughed, and the rest no longer disdained him, but found this step young master to be trustworthy and valuable. Even cute Shangguan Yulin was the only one watching from way back with a poisonous stare. Shangguan Feixiong signaled the men to calm down and looked at them with confidence. Men, we've been at odds because of the dangers regarding the mission. Now I dare say this chance is providence. With this map, the Flying Cloud Manor can have 2 Sword Kings, and can have Bailey Jingwei, but it means nothing. We will strike fast, take the Soaring Sword, and return to Eastern Lands at once. And they won't be able to do anything to stop us. Uncle, I don't know about 2 Sword Kings. Just that Flying Cloud Manor only has Shangguan Feiyun. Zhuofan grinned. Shangguan Feixiong started. What? Ha ha ha, Bailey Jingwei is worried about the Crown Prince's condition and wants to take me as the main alchemist back to the Imperial capital, with the dragon-cleaving Sword King acting as guard. Zhuofan muttered. That's why Bailey Jingwei had me return today to look after my family before we go tomorrow. Shangguan Feixiong looked at him long with a stumped gaze. You're serious? Bailey Jingwei said it himself, and so did Dragon-Cleaving Sword King. It has to be real. Zhuofan said. Shangguan Feiyun shuddered, then finally reacted. Ha ha ha, providence indeed. Heaven has blessed the Shangguan clan. Bailey Jingwei and Dragon-Cleaving Sword King are leaving, with only Shangguan Feiyun remaining. Now our success is nigh. Ha ha ha. Congratulations, clan head, with heaven's gift. We will succeed for sure. The rest joined in with their excitement. Everyone was happy. So much so they were acting as if it was a blowout. Like the soaring sword was in their hands. Shangguan Feixiong used the lively spirits to work on the plan of attack on the manor for the second time. Looking at them fired up, Zhuofan had a quirky smile. On this earth, it's not providence, but me helping you. Though I do have to thank you for helping me as well. Huh. Whoosh. Hours passed, and after intense debates, Shangguan Feixiong's team settled on a strategy. They would engage 3 days after Bailey Jingwei left, standing in a somewhat hidden corner. Shangguan Yulin learned of this and slipped away to a secluded spot to send a Jade slip, flying towards the manor, darting his head around. Looking for any faces, Shangguan Yulin returned in equal silence to his room. Closing the door, a quite familiar darkness took him once more. His senses were blind in this abyss, unable to see his own fingers' face twitching. Shangguan Yulin's heart reached rock bottom, lamenting his fate as he groveled on the ground. He banged his head 3 times and declared, Greetings, Master. Ha ha ha, you're looking quite sharp this time around, kid. Master, it's only natural for a disciple to greet this master with the respect sir deserves. With a revolted look, Shangguan Yulin looked to be used to it by now, being as meek as a wee lamb. Zhuofan's eyes shone. I must say, you've elevated your shamelessness to a whole new level. You truly live up to the title I bestowed upon you. Degenerate demon, ha ha ha. Shangguan Yulin turned a deaf ear, his face stony. Well, that's enough small talk. Where's the map? Zhuofan squinted, cutting straight to the chase. And before you say it's not done yet, I saw the kid return with my own eyes. Shangguan Yulin inhaled deeply and revealed a white paper. A copy he made, Master. I prepared this map of the manor for you. I ask that Master receives it. Well done. For being tactful too. The map flew into the darkness and Zhuofan inspected it. Is Shangguan Yulin that sincere to not mess with it at all? Soon though, Shangguan Yulin looked at the abyss and reported, Master, you must be after the soaring sword as well, right? Well, aren't you chatty? Glancing over, Zhuofan said, What's it to you? Shangguan Yulin paused and said, If yes, I urge Master to act 3 days later. Why? It's the same day that Shangguan clan will attack and Master can use the chaos to your advantage. Shangguan Yulin sported a nasty smirk. Zhuofan mocked. Why are you so nice to me? A master a day, a father for life. I can no more be rude to Master than I could denounce my own father. Shangguan Yulin raised an eyebrow as he spouted corny stuff with a straight face. Shui Fan had a total disbelieving mocking tone. What about your clan, or your lord? They are nothing compared to master. With a wide smile, Shangguan Yulin said, only you dictate my fate. Shui Fan gave him a long look. That does make some sense. Also, master, you know that I'm working for the Flying Cloud Manor. That means the Shangguan clan's attack to get the Soaring Sword will be a trap. Master would gain nothing if you plan on taking the divine sword from them. Shangguan Yulin gave another deep bow, as if advising Shui Fan. Shui Fan faked anger. What's that supposed to mean? First you want me to use the chaos to my advantage, and now you're telling me not to? Are you mocking me? No, that's not it, master. Shangguan Yulin snickered. Barging into the manor after Shangguan clan isn't a good plan. Only when the two sides fight will the chance become obvious. It won't get any easier than then to steal the divine sword. That's why I suggest master capitalize on this diversion to get away with the sword. Shui Fan squinted. Speak? Master, please consider giving the map a careful look. There are two areas, the easternmost one where Jade falls where the Soaring Sword is, and the northernmost one where Shangguan Feiyun's resting room is. First is the original place of the sword, while the second where Shangguan Feiyun will hide it. In my time at the manor, I've seen Shangguan Feiyun taking the Soaring Sword to his room. The spiritual energy there is also thick, not just for cultivating, but to store the Soaring Sword as well. Shangguan Yulin had an evil smile. They know the Shangguan clan's moves and will hide the divine sword. So it has to be in the second location. When the two sides meet at the Jade Falls, Master can slip into the Sword King's room and steal the sword with none the wiser. Talk about twisted words. Shui Fan had a cold smile, having turned every pebble over in the manor. There was no one who knew the Flying Cloud Manor better than him. This punk's nonsense is meant to incite me to go in and get me killed. I bet he sent fake info as well, making Shangguan Feiyun place a trap there. Too bad for you, since I fiddled with the map from the start and reported a fake. Humph. Chapter 901. Twisted Reality. Chapter 901. Twisted Reality. Proofreader. Papatonks. Whoosh. On the half-a-meter-wide table between Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun were placed the finest drinks and dishes, adding to the enjoyment of the tranquil lake nearby. The two were relishing the view, the company, and the wine without a care. There was a sound, and Bailey Jingwei held out his hand for a jade slip to land in it. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes flashed. Ha ha ha, already? I have to say, Sword King, your nephew is certainly a go-getter. Ha ha ha, Bailey Jingwei chuckled. Shangguan Feiyun waved him off, as if, it's more like that brother of mine is too rushed. Or, like Prime Minister said, greedy. How else do you explain his hastily drawn-out plan? Their eyes met and burst out laughing with ridicule. Bailey Jingwei scanned the jade slip closely and nodded with a smile. Though something did catch his attention. So much so he was feeling suspicious. What is it, Prime Minister? What is the problem? Shangguan Feiyun will strike 3 days after we leave. Isn't that great? The trap is set, and all that's left is for them to spring it. Prime Minister, is there something nagging you? Shangguan Feiyun looked curious at first, but dismissed his worries after he heard the info inside the jade slip. Bailey Jingwei's doubts remained. Shangguan Feiyun plans to raid the Jade Falls with his experts, while the 3 strongest venerables will be going after your resting room to kill you. If all goes well, great, but if not, they will hold you back while the others steal the Soaring Sword. Humph, a mere pipe dream. Shangguan Feiyun disregarded his worry. They want to cut me off? Then I'll lay 2 traps, real experts in my room where I'll stay guard as well, and send the rest of the men to Jade Falls, where Prime Minister will direct with Brother Donching's assistance. They can get in, but there's no leaving with 2 Sword Kings around. Ha! Bailey Jingwei nodded, but his conscience wasn't eased. Be that as it may, something is strange here. Prime Minister, what is it now? Is something off? The plan is solid, only the details are weird. Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed and passed the jade slip over. Sword King Feiyun. Noticed the map Shangguan Yulin attached inside. Shangguan Feiyun was starting to be suspicious as well. I let that Grandmaster Gu make it, so what's there to see? It's not like I don't know my own home. 3 days later, the Shangguan clan will split in 2 before attacking. Shangguan Feixiong will lead his men to attack the easternmost area of the manor, Jade Falls, and steal the Soaring sword, while the three venerables will ambush Sword King's room, the northernmost place, to kill and to stop the enemy so the clan head can succeed. Ugh. Shangguan Feiyun was casual as he read, but then his eyes landed on the map. Jade Falls in the east? But it's in the west side. And then my room in the north is actually in the southeast. Just what is up with this map? Bailey Jingwei wore a mask of doubt. Shangguan Yulin supplied this map and, by all accounts, shouldn't be an attempt at cheating us. At least he was so blatantly obvious about it. He is oblivious to everything in the Flying Cloud Manor, unlike us. The only logical explanation is that this is the same map he got from Shangguan Feixiong. This fake? The clan got a fake map. A fake? Shangguan Feiyun was baffled. How in hell is it fake? You're saying Grandmaster Gu handed this fake to them? Why would he do that? Bailey Jingwei frowned, deep in thought. Logic says Gu Yifan is relying on Shangguan clan, a crutch to lean on and ride their coattails to success. But he gave them a fake map, botching their plans and turning from their confidant to a traitor. He only gets to lose from it. Is he committed to becoming the Sword Star Empire's alchemist? Is that why he's breaking it off with the Shangguan clan? That's not right either, or he'd be throwing his lot with us by using the fake map to catch the clan in one fell swoop. Any betrayal should be done fully, not randomly, or he won't get anything out of it. The Shangguan clan had patched their lacking knowledge with the fake map, but they wouldn't lose that much because of it. And with the failure of the second ambush, they would no longer have any chance of attacking the manor, while the Shangguan clan would hate Gu Yifan's guts while on the manor's side. Being in the dark to the source of this fake map, they couldn't give Grandmaster Gu any credit for the results. He gets nothing from either side. So why? The Prime Minister Bailey Jingwei was having a headache as well with this conundrum, let alone Shangguan Feiyun. Bailey Jingwei finally shouted, "Who were the ones watching over Grandmaster Gu in the manor? Call them here, now." "Yes, sir." Someone shouted, and soon two guards were before him, bowing. "Prime Minister, Sword King, how may we be of service? Are you two the ones who looked after Grandmaster Gu during his stay at the manor? Per the Lord's order, we kept Grandmaster Gu safe. Was anything off about Grandmaster Gu's actions?" Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed, his words startling the guards as they replied. "Many things earned our suspicion, like constantly asking about the path between Jade Falls and Sword King's home, about the restricted areas. Prime Minister and Lord might not know, but he also had us show him the way." "I get it. We already know about that, but is there anything else?" Shangguan Feiyun waved him off. "That's something I allowed, so Gu Yifan could finish his map." Bailey Jingwei's brow shook and jumped in. "Wait, you mean he constantly asked you? Why?" "Prime Minister, what's wrong about that? All spies will inquire. We've taken him everywhere through the manor, so why is he still asking others? And not just once either." Bailey Jingwei cut him off with a serious look. Shangguan Feiyun was stumped. "Yeah, now why is that? Afraid he won't be found out? We personally toured him around the place, so why?" "Maybe." Shangguan Feiyun glanced at Bailey Jingwei, who was fixed on the guards. One guard finally spoke. "Grandmaster Gu is very suspicious. He kept saying he'll go to Jade Falls, but always ended up at the barracks saying the manor was too big every time." "All right, we get it. You may go." Bailey Jingwei dismissed them. The guards bowed and left puzzled. Bailey Jingwei chuckled. "Sword King, you get it now? Of course, the guy has a direction problem." Shangguan Feiyun's face twitched and sighed. Who'd have thought a great 11th grade alchemist ends up being directionally challenged? What makes it worse, he's a spy. Ha ha ha. Well, that's a first, using a guy with poor direction as a spy. Of course, the map is all jumbled, not knowing which is north, south, east, or west. I bet Shangguan Feiyun would have spurted blood feet high if he knew his map was drawn by a disoriented guy. Ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Nobody's perfect, being drafted by them. He acts like the terrible spy he is. Of course he's liable to slip up. Ha ha ha. Slip up? Such poor direction is worse than anyone's. Shangguan Feiyun mocked, but then frowned. Though, are you sure he's directionally challenged? An 11th grade alchemist at that? Bailey Jingwei's brow shook and paused. This is the only explanation for what I know so far. Consider him having poor direction. Then our plan. We stick to it. The only change is that we'll be following this fake map. Bailey Jingwei grinned. Even with the twisted reality thanks to the fake map, the Shangguan clan will be caught all the same. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Feiyun nodded. I thought of moving the soaring sword, just in case, but since the map is fake, there's no point. Chapter 902. 'Twas the night before the ambush. Chapter 902. 'Twas the night before the ambush. Proofreader. Papatonks. Dad, are they really dragging the fight elsewhere? In the pitch-black night, only the moonlight was shining some light upon the world, giving it a chilling air. The many houses in the city had their own faint yellow candlelight. In hope of dispelling the coldness, Gu Santong lay in bed, eyes staring at Zhuo Fan polishing his demonic sword under the lamplight with an evil grin. Zhuo Fan replied, "Yep, Flying Cloud Manor's move hinges on Shangguan clan's attack, while Shangguan clan's moves are following the map I provided. By now, the same map should be back in the manor. Ha ha ha, this way both sides' actions are under my control. They'll fight wherever I want them to without a choice. Humph." Zhuo Fan looked mighty pleased with his handiwork, confidence stemming from manipulating the whole board and its rules. What will we be doing then? Gu Sanhong muttered, "Could we help Shangguan clan after we set up the drawing array in the Jade Falls?" Zhuo Fan gave him a glance before fixating back on his precious demonic sword. Who cares about them? We do our own thing and ignore the rest so as to not invite more trouble. Flying Cloud Manor now has 2 Sword Kings and a Prime Minister on top. The Shangguan clan stands no chance. I used Shangguan Yulin to send fake info and scatter their forces. That should be enough breather for the Shangguan clan, though not like it'll be for long. When the experts waiting in Shangguan Feiyun's room realize the attack won't be coming, the trap stemming from the fake info I had Shangguan Yulin send will collapse. When the two sides converge, the Shangguan clan will fall, but it's not certain if they will get wiped out. But their annihilation will work in our favor, their dying struggle buying us time to set the array. At least they died for something. Zhuo Fan mocked, a tyrant lifting his sword above a mountain of skeletons, using the blood of all living things to right his own rise. Gu Santong sighed in silence. Zhuo Fan's hand paused from cleaning the demonic sword, picking up on young Sanzi's mood. He no longer looked evil, now giving his son a bright smile. I know you don't like hanging with these people and grew tired of this place. Anyway, these 3 days will go by fast, so just bear with it. Ha ha ha. Then according to Shangguan Feixiong's plan, the experts will attack while the juniors will leave. You'll slip away from them in the meantime to where we established. Don't forget the escape we set up before we got to Flying Cloud City, the Big Dipper flinging array. That means there's only the 2 of us surviving, walking all over their lives. Gu Santong muttered downcast. Zhuo Fan didn't notice, too caught up in cleaning his great demonic sword and his dream of learning to use the sword. Knock. Someone was at the door. Zhuo Fan paused from cleaning and asked, "Who is it?" "It's me." Zhuo Fan heard Shangguan Qingyan saying, "Mr. Gu, are you free? What's this chick up to at this hour?" Giving Gu Santong a puzzled look, Zhuo Fan knew he had to reply, "I'll be right there." Zhuo Fan gazed upon the frail figure as she stepped in. "What got you coming here so late? Is young Sanzi asleep?" Shangguan Qingyan was being awfully subtle. Zhuo Fan gave a casual answer. "Kids are in bed at this hour. What do you? Come with me." Shangguan Qingyan cut him off by pulling his hand outside, in the back, then relaxed seeing no one around. "No one will disturb us here." "Disturb us?" Zhuo Fan watched the clear face reflected in the moonlight and rubbed his hands. "Miss Shangguan, first you made sure young Sanzi is asleep, and now you invited me in this secluded area. Ha ha ha. I'm shocked by your forwardness. I know my charm and I am quite fascinating that some girls just can't keep away from me, but I'm a married man and have a child. I'm not that kind of guy. But since you insist, I guess I. The sudden attack had him crying out. He saw Shangguan Qingyan pinching his thigh and twisting hard. Zhuo Fan struggled out of her clutches. What was that all about? Why else if not for talking trash? Shangguan Qingyan huffed and glared. I asked for you for a good reason, but your mind is clearly in the gutter. The only reason you're still conscious is because you're married. Zhuo Fan ignored her tantrum. How noble of you. despite being in a clan that trains in dual cultivation to vent. Isn't Uncle a married man too? It's because the Shangguan clan's men are like that, so I can't stand it. Shangguan Qingyan waved her angry fist around, though she put it away without using it. Fine, let's just forget it. But you must get your wife back. Focus only on that, and don't do anything that might break her heart. Zhuo Fan shook, his face heavy. What's it to you? Nothing. It's what I hope. Shangguan Qingyan sighed. Tomorrow you're going with Bailey Jingwei to the imperial capital, and we might never see each other again. But don't worry, I'll look after young Sanzi and do my best to find his mother so that all of you will be reunited. I just hope that once you achieve success, there won't be another woman. Zhuo Fan stared at her. What do you mean? Didn't Uncle want to take me to Eastern lands? Dad did promise you that, but now, haha. Shangguan Qingyan gave a wry smile. Everything's changed. Dad is the clan head, and sometimes the clan's future comes first, at the detriment of being disloyal on occasions. If you were still the same Gu Yifan that lent us your house to hide, Dad would have taken you. But Bailey Jingwei treated you as his most honored guest. And now, having helped the clan draw out their attack plan. So they. Words came hard to Shangguan Qingyan the longer she spoke. They decided to be practical. Practical? Favor you if alive or abandon you if dead. Shangguan Qingyan looked crushed as she continued. You know that Dad will attack 3 days after you and Bailey Jingwei leave. Regardless of the outcome, there's only 2 endings for you. Bailey Jingwei will find you out for giving us the map, executing you on the spot, or Bailey Jingwei will still see you in high regard, and you will forever remain as Shangguan clan's spy in the central area. Didn't Uncle say they'll accept me after the ambush succeeded? Shangguan Qingyan shook her head with a bitter smile. With Bailey Jingwei, the Prime Minister, having so many experts at his side and dragon-cleaving Sword King on top, after Dad gets Soaring Sword, they aren't about to risk it over the likes of you. Their plan is to use you. If you die, the Shangguan clan will be ever grateful, raising young Sanzi as their own. If you live, young Sanzi will become hostage and force you to work for Eastern lands. But don't worry, I will definitely get you back one day. Zhuo Fan squinted and nodded. Zhuo Fan's speculation reached this part as well and totally ignored it. He was just that confident since. We'll see who uses who. In a clash between big shots, there's no room for niceties nor kindness, only interest. That was how Bailey Jingwei was, and the same applied to Shangguan Feiyun. So how could Shangguan Feixiong, known for his righteous character, be any lesser? It didn't change the fact they were still going to lose in this endeavor because they failed to even realize that there was another player having sneaked into their little game. Ignorance gets you killed. Zhuo Fan grinned and nodded. Thank you. No need for thanks, just be careful. If all goes well, I'll be sure to send young Sanzi to you, to help you two be reunited. Shangguan Qingyan spoke with resolve, then bid her goodbye. Zhuo Fan waited for her to leave. Young Sanzi, come out. The chick is gone. Whoosh. Gu Santong was by Zhuo Fan's side in a flash of scarlet. The chick spouted so much tripe. Zhuo Fan snickered, his eyes cold. I've never trusted one of them from the start. My life will always be in my hands. I won't ever give it to anyone else. Zhuo Fan walked back, patting young Sanzi's head. Come, young Sanzi, this doesn't change anything. Gu Santong nodded, but sometimes peeked behind. Auntie does care about him. Chapter 903, Blindsided. Chapter 903, Blindsided. Proofreader, Papatonks. Before the rooster could announce the coming of a new dawn, a group of men were packed and ready in front of the flying Cloud Manor gate. All wore their finest, oozing nobility, yet just 30 of them were so excited they were bursting with joy and glee at their meteoric success. Such were the selected from the Pill King convention, giving them a look of disdain. Bailey Jingwei sneered. Talents like these, and that was already overstating it, were only good as props for his plan. He'll just hand them over to the real alchemists as servants when they got to the imperial capital. Imperial family's alchemist? Huh. Shangguan Feiyun's thoughts were the same, watching these delusional bums with equal scorn thump. A man and a woman were approaching this group with light steps. Bailey Jingwei cupped his hands and sported a vague smile. Grandmaster Gu, have you settled your matters? May we set off? Thank you, Prime Minister, for your concern. Everything is in order. Zhuofan returned the gesture with a light bow before turning to Shangguan Qingyin and putting on a yearning face. I'll be gone for a long time in the imperial capital, and I'd be grateful if cousin will look after young Sanzi. Shangguan Qingyin's expressive eyes were filled with complex emotions, but only nodded. Don't worry. I'm young Sanzi's aunt and will give my all to take care of him. I'll be sure to bring him to you personally and reduce the longing. Thank you. Zhuofan sighed and cupped his hands at Bailey Jingwei. Prime Minister, we can go? All is in order for Mr. as well? Then he shouted, set off. Yes, sir. The guards, over 100, made of soul harmony and Genesis stage experts, escorted the others in a grand fashion. Dragon-cleaving Sword King had a flat look at the side, while Sword King Feiyun cupped his hand and saw them off. Shangguan Qingyin watched them go, her worried eyes ever on Zhuofan. Shangguan Feiyun grinned and teased, Miss Gu, Grandmaster Gu will be part of the inner circle now, gaining a nobility rank and having anything he could ever want. There's no cause for worrying either, not with Dan Qingshan and Prime Minister watching over. Everything will be fine, bar treason. You should be happy for him, haha. Shangguan Qingyin's lips fell in dismay, looking at him with a crooked smile worse than crying, only to sigh and leave the minute Prime Minister Bailey is out, seal the city and impose a curfew. The commanding voice echoed behind her. Those thieves might have slipped away with the visit of Prime Minister, but I'd rather be on the safe side. Comb the city and root them out. I won't tolerate the Shangguan clan causing chaos in my flying cloud city. Shangguan Qingyin paused, her face hard as she rushed faster for the Gu household looking at her so eager to report. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes flashed, his smile particularly crafty. By Prime Minister's plan, we should ease their minds. No, we should incite their greed. Ha ha ha. Minutes later, Shangguan Qingyin rushed into the parlor to see Shangguan Feixiong and his experts waiting for her news. Dad. Shangguan Qingyin flushed with anger. Shangguan Feiyun will place the city in lockdown and search it for our people once Bailey Jingwei left. He said that he only loosened his guard and gave us the chance to escape only because Bailey Jingwei happened to come. Shangguan Feixiong looked at the three venerables and his experts and saw their nods. It's as we thought. Bailey Jingwei came with the crown prince's matter in mind and not for us. With Shangguan Feiyun's prideful character, he'll never admit his manor was attacked, hiding it from Bailey Jingwei. He'd then resume the search once he leaves. Yes, that's Shangguan Feiyun's style. Everything for appearances. That means Bailey Jingwei and Dan Qingshan won't be a part of this plan, not when they are oblivious of it. Our enemy is only one, Shangguan Feiyun. Right? Great. Now we don't have to face two Sword Kings. Everyone voiced their agreement with joy. A shout came as a man barged in and bowed. Clan head, Bailey Jingwei's procession is 50 miles out with no sign of turning back. They're almost out of sight and gone for good. They're also looking to be in a rush, with nothing flashy to denote Prime Minister is among them. That explains why Bailey Jingwei came to Flying Cloud City without notice. He's truly worried about the Crown Prince's situation. Shangguan Feixiong nodded. Now all doubts have been lifted, knowing Bailey Jingwei has only been a guest here and nothing more. Now that they left, we don't need to bother with them. They all nodded, with the venerable's eyes shining as his voice rose. The Shangguan clan won't miss this chance providence laid before us. In 3 days we strike. Yes, sir. They all cheered, as if victory was in sight. Only Shangguan Yulin, in his little dark corner, sported a creepy smile. While the Shangguan clan got fired up and ready for the big raid, Bailey Jingwei's group was now a day away when he stopped. Zhuofan faked obliviousness as he asked, Prime Minister, do you need rest? Ha ha ha. I may not be much of an expert, but I am an 8th-layer ethereal stage cultivator. A day of walking isn't enough to tire me. Bailey Jingwei grinned. Zhuofan gave him a long look, then, return. Bailey Jingwei casually pointed at the soul harmony experts. You are to escort the 30 alchemists to the imperial capital. The rest of you will follow me back to Flying Cloud City. Zhuofan shuddered and showed a bright and clueless smile. Prime Minister, what do you mean? Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Gu, you'll know soon enough. Bailey Jingwei showed a vague smile and waved for 2 soul harmony experts to flank Zhuofan and grab his shoulders, taking him away. Zhuofan started, Prime Minister Bailey, what are you doing? Taking Grandmaster Gu back to the city? But we just got a day away from Flying Cloud City and had those other alchemists escorted to the imperial capital. I should go with them. If you have a pressing matter, you can return by yourself. Why take me as well? Paling and panicking, Zhuofan forced himself to sweat to make the act even more believable. Bailey Jingwei gave a mocking smile, taunting, Grandmaster Gu, I'm bringing you along to enjoy the show. A show? Quite. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone. This act shall be known as Blindsided. Zhuofan shook harder, overwhelmed. Bailey Jingwei signaled the guards to hold Zhuofan as they flew to Flying Cloud City. Prime Minister's many powerful guards were gone in a blink. Gone back to the city in secret, all that remained were 3 soul harmony experts and the stumped alchemist looking at each other like a cow looking at a new gate. What just happened? Are you taking us to the imperial capital to enjoy riches and live glorious lives? Why are there just 2 guards left and the others up and ran off? Do we mean so little? We're future imperial alchemists here. Step it up. As they were trying to make sense of it and failing, the soul harmony experts barked at them. The prideful alchemists were annoyed. With someone having the bright idea to voice his discontent, what's the rush? Don't you know I'm to be an imperial alchemist? Who the hell are you to order me? Bam! His ranting came to an abrupt stop. Only a bloody mist remaining of his trace in this cruel world. A guard wiped his hand, glancing at the others with disdain. Prime Minister ordered us to escort you to the imperial capital and kill any who refuse. That was the cruel truth. Bailey Jingwei never gave a hoot about them. All he cared about was not letting them flee, to plug any leak, though only for these 3 days. The alchemist watched the blood soak the earth with empty eyes, their minds out of commission. Weren't we imperial alchemists? How can a mere guard treat us like cattle? Just what jobs awaits us in the imperial capital anyway? They were wrecked with fear, doubt, and terror. They were sensible enough not to speak anymore. The hope in their eyes now turned into despair. Chapter 904, Night Raid. Chapter 904, Night Raid. Proofreader, Papatonks. Grandmaster Gu, you must find it strange why we're back out of the blue. Or you already know that but just want our confirmation. Ha ha ha. Back in Flying Cloud Manor, to the same smell, to the same hall, Shangguan Feiyun, Bailey Jingwei and Danqing Shun had him surrounded with creepy smiles as a hidden big player himself. Zhuofan knew how to get into his role, playing dumb with a straight face and bright smile. Prime Minister, what are you saying? I don't get your words. Ha ha ha. Don't get it, don't you? Ha ha, Grandmaster Gu, you don't have to pretend any longer. We know everything there is to know about you. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone. Grandmaster Gu, since you just can't seem to understand, I'm sure the names Shangguan Yulin, Shangguan Feixiong, and Shangguan Qingyan should ring some bells. Shuddering, Zhuofan tensed. His face paling. Bailey Jingwei stared right at him, his grin wide. Grandmaster Gu, you're an alchemical gem and gaining success through the Sword Star Empire's court is easier than breathing. So why must you stand up for those kinds of people? Zhuofan lowered his head, like a condemned man waiting for his verdict. Pa. Bailey Jingwei patted his shoulder from behind, noticing the problem eating away at him, the act of being Shangguan clan's spy, in playing a role of destroying the foundation of my empire, would never make me waste so many words with any such criminal. Bailey Jingwei's grip tightened and Zhuofan winced with clenched teeth while adding a perfectly timed frantic image of himself. Bailey Jingwei smirked, immensely pleased at his reaction. Grandmaster Gu isn't just any criminal, but a one-of-a-kind genius. It weighs heavy on my heart having you pay with your life along with those thieves. Bailey Jingwei looked heartbroken, his tone softening. The loss I feel isn't just mine, but the Empire's as well for losing such an outstanding alchemist. The pain I feel is only amplified if Grandmaster Gu won't be able to reveal his talent to the world. Bailey Jingwei spoke lower and more saddened. The heartbroken state he was in would bring anyone to tears. If anyone else heard him right now, they'd be so moved they'd become sworn brothers. A shame this failed on Zhuofan, who didn't fall short in the subterfuge department as a fellow specialist himself. Zhuofan had to give him props for playing it right, using psychology to threaten and coax, making it sound logical and sensible. There's no way Shangguan Yulin had any chance against such an assault. turning his back to his own family on the spot. Bailey Jingwei isn't called the wisest in the empire for nothing. Though Zhuofan was no pushover either. Furthermore, he was never truly invested in his alchemist role, making this touching display feel flat, though it was one thing to not feel it, and another thing altogether to not show it. It was easy to tell in which situation he was in, and he had to play his part. How nice of Bailey Jingwei to set the stage for him. Zhuofan teared up on cue, his face overwhelmed. Prime Minister, a wise man's words are invaluable. Prime Minister is my best friend. If only I had met Sir sooner. I wouldn't have. Zhuofan was taken by abject regret of the mistake he made joining the thieves and botching his future. Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun shared a smile, with the first saying, I've considered Grandmaster Gu a friend the moment I saw you. Grandmaster Gu has just strayed, holding no deep repercussions and offering the chance to come back on the straight and narrow. I promise you this, Grandmaster Mu, give your all to the Empire, and I'll even be more than happy to give my position to you. Prime Minister, why, you're just too good to me. Zhuofan was so touched he was choking, tears filling his eyes. Bailey Jingwei waved his hand. Then, can Grandmaster Gu tell me of their movements? Of course. Prime Minister has given me a new lease on life, and the least I could do is return the favor. Unlike them, Zhuofan shook his head, his eyes shining with loss and hatred. Bailey Jingwei was puzzled, but soon came to understand once he heard his story. Humph. Fools who only throw away talent, that's what they are. And they talk about being pragmatic with Grandmaster's fate? Furthermore, they're even using your own son as a shield. How vile, how repulsive. Right? I didn't know they were like that, treating me like family. Until Shangguan Qingyan told me everything 2 days ago. She's such a nice girl. Zhuofan sighed. Bailey Jingwei sparkled. Grandmaster Gu, we'll get every last one of them for sure and give you justice. You just go take some rest in your room and await the good news tomorrow. But my son, he won't be harmed. Zhuofan sighed, letting 2 guards escort him away. Shangguan Feiyun spoke out of earshot. Prime Minister, did Grandmaster Gu really switch sides? He wasn't close to them to begin with. Thanks to my smooth and enlightened words, he has surrendered to us. Bailey Jingwei spoke. Most of what he told us fits with the report Shangguan Yulin gave us through the Jade slip. The only discrepancy is the missing chat between him and Shangguan Qingyan, but that's normal. He has no business butting into a private chat. Shangguan Feixiong's pragmatic plan had to have been discussed with his high elders late in the night, making Shangguan Yulin unaware of it. Now that I believe, Shangguan Feiyun nodded. Shangguan Feixiong loves to play the nice guy, but that ends when his clan's future's at stake. All niceties are thrown away. Humph, nothing but a rotten hypocrite. Don't say that. Bailey Jingwei smiled. It comes with the territory. Even Shangguan clan's clan head would sometimes place his clan first. I can sure understand it. Ha ha ha, Sword King Feiyun. I find you rather biased about your brother. Humph. Shangguan Feiyun huffed in anger. Bailey Jingwei smiled, his mouth quivering with a confident grin in Zhuofan's direction. We finally got the alchemist grandmaster to switch sides. I've yet to lose my touch. Huh. Prime Minister Bailey. Danqing Shun, who had been keeping silent while the 2 mighty actors played their role, finally spoke up. Since we trust Grandmaster Gu now, then the eyes that are on him. Bailey Jingwei cut him off with a flick of his hand. One is reality and another is necessity. He has just switched to us, but even if we do believe him, the monitoring can't stop. It's only for a day anyway. I'd rather not have my plan fall to ruin from a simple slip-up. Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shun shared a nod. Bailey Jingwei is meticulous and cautious. Despite the house arrest he was under, and the couple of soul harmony experts watching him outside his door, Zhuofan was sporting a weird smile, the plans moving along nicely. The next night, Shangguan Feixiong assembled his experts in the garden and looked at the bright moon, ordering, "Begin?" "Yes, sir." The men saluted and faded into the night sky, closing in on their prey. The flying cloud manor. Shangguan Yulin looked at Shangguan Qingyan, smiling. "Yinner, they're off. When the manor turns to chaos, the security for the city entrances will slack. We'll use this chance to get out, go to the meeting place with Uncle." "I'll take young Sanzi." Shangguan Qingyan nodded and left to find Gu Santong. Shangguan Yulin's face fell in annoyance. Is he your kid? Why do you even care so much? Shangguan Qingyan suddenly cried out and rushed over. Oh no, something bad happened. Yenner, what is it? Shangguan Yulin asked. Shangguan Qingyan panted in panic. Why young Sanzi is gone? TCH, the brat is nothing but trouble. Where could he have run off to? Forget about him. Time waits for no one. Shangguan Yulin snaked. Shangguan Qingyan glared. How can you talk like that? He's but a child who's now lonely and sad without his father. We can't just leave him. Did you forget how much his father helped us? To hell with his help. Come dawn. It won't matter. Hee. Rolling his eyes, Shangguan Yulin smirked and sighed. Once the curtain fell on tonight, Bailey Jingwei promised him the Shangguan clan's top experts would be done, and Gu Yifan would become a traitor hunted by the eastern lands, leaving him with no choice but to take asylum with the prime minister. And the juniors escaping from here would be led by him. To restore the Shangguan clan then, as a central area spy, he'd work with the Sword Star Empire to unify eastern lands. Shangguan Feiyun would become the leader, and he would become Shangguan Feiyun's right hand, ruling over everyone else. Ha ha ha. Oh no. Shangguan Yulin's fantasy was cut short by a cry. Young Sanzi must think his dad is at the manor, so he must be going there. I never told him his dad left, and his dad didn't say goodbye, fearing he couldn't let go. I have to go to the manor and find him. Yenner, uncle is attacking the manor. You can't go there. It's too dangerous. Shangguan Yulin grabbed her shoulder, shrugging his hand away. Shangguan Qingyan ran off. That's why I must go. Young Sanzi is just a child. Shangguan Qingyan was gone. Shangguan Yulin gnashed his teeth and followed their exchange was, however, under the watch of a red and cute figure behind a tree, looking on with guilt. Dad and I want to step on your bodies for our job, but you still went back to save me. Dad, I'm sure you won't step in even if Auntie is about to die. Then, Gu Santong faded into the night. Chapter 905, Sudden Breach. Chapter 905, Sudden Breach. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. Shadows made use of the night's dark cover to cross the moonlit clearings with ease and arrive before a grand manor. The plaque hanging above identified it as the Flying Cloud Manor. Patrols of Soul Harmony guards moved about, ensuring its safety. Shangguan Feixiong witnessed their shift changing, right in front of the manor gate with hardly any attention to their surroundings. Whoosh. Hundreds of Shangguan clan experts, wearing black, struck, having readied themselves for this moment. The earth shook under the thunderous sound as the veritable army attacked as one with enough force to split mountains. The guards never knew what hit them. Their voices robbed as the wave of power smashed into them. The guards' eyes grew bloodshot, and then each of them started popping like overripe tomatoes, spreading blood and gore everywhere. 2 teams, 50 people, were dead in a few seconds. Shangguan clan's experts moved with purpose and speed, taking the smooth start as a good sign for what was to come. The men ignored the carnage and went deeper. Rumble. The early power wave had shook the whole manor. Awake in a quaint little room, sitting at his table, gently picking the rattling teacup, sipping from it and hiding a peculiar smile. The pale yellow light of a lone candle reflected off his bright visage, and the unmoving Soul Harmony experts behind him. In the hundreds, Prime Minister, they're here. A man holding the candle bowed with utter respect, unleashing his late Genesis stage power. Bailey Jingwei's face bloomed into a smile. Just wait for them to get closer. Ha ha ha. The man nodded and withdrew. Bailey Jingwei snickered and drank his tea. His demeanor, the coldness of those eyes and the hard face made everyone's hearts shudder every time he placed the teacup down. The manor's under attack. Activate the array. Protect the Sword King. As the earth shook, the manor shuddered with it while the guard captain issued frantic orders. The men nodded and executed their signs. It was not due to the ambush, but having gone through the same terror once before, the images were still burned into their eyes of the time the last attackers just came and went to the manor. What followed was Sword King Feiyun's wrath unleashed upon hundreds of Soul Harmony guards. It was so bad the real estate market experienced a collapse at the sudden influx of empty houses, the fall of many outstanding guard families scattering from ending up broke. A given people always said serving men in power came with its own danger, but working under a Sword King wasn't any easier either. Now it was their turn to be put to the test with another raid. Talk about rotten luck. They could have come earlier or later, But no, they just had to pick tonight when I'm on duty to make sure I suffer for it. Is that it? What did I ever do to you? I don't even know you, so why me? All the guards were outraged at the attack, but equally helpless. They knew their luck had run out and blaming others wouldn't help anyone. They could only do their duty to the best of their ability to stop these attackers where they stood. As the guards finished with their gestures, a faint barrier came to life, covering the core of the manor and dividing it from the incoming thieves. The guards smiled for once. We've done our job and they can't get in. The joy was short-lived as three elderlies appeared before them. Out of the blue, one's eyes shone. It's still a breeze getting in before the defensive array is truly activated. The three shared a look and smiled, making their own signs and attacking, their hands extended in a most peculiar stance, intertwined as their index fingers came out from each palm and unleashing devastating power. Three break the skies as one. Soaring cloud Luan sword. A savage blade sword wave rushed out, of such power that it felt like a god unleashed it. And all of it was sent at the helpless guards and the incomplete array. Boom! The array formed by 300 guards held all but for an instant. Exploding into nothing, the force ravaged the area, crushing their hearts and blowing them away. The only lucky survivors were around 100 of the original 400 guards. These meager dozens of Genesis stage experts still suffered greatly at the attack. They looked shocked at the devastation. There was nothing around the manor for dozens of miles. All those gardens and trees, lakes and ponds, all gone as to where the sword wave struck, that went on for 50 kilometers. There was a clear, endless line of utter nothingness left in its wake. The guards gasped in fear at these elders' power. Who the hell are they? They're in the Genesis stage as well, but how can their combined attack be so strong? Not even Sword King can take that. Figures populated the area as hundreds of Genesis stage experts went past the three elders and straight for them. The elders let them take the remaining guards, Genesis stage experts as well. The guards had been too damaged by that ferocious attack to put up any resistance to the rest of the Shangguan clan's strength. Their wails and cries echoed soon after, until silence was once again restored. Shangguan Feixiong grinned. While he lost 10 of his men, it was worth it since the enemy lost scores. The emphasis on this ambush was speed, evident by how fast they went through the entrance and the second line of defense. Even he found it astonishing how smooth it all went and smiled. At this rate, we'll be in and out of Jade Falls with the Soaring sword before Shangguan Feiyun even gets wind of us. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Feixiong spurred on. Let's push on. Yes, sir. The men nodded in excitement. Who could blame them when everything was a walk in the park so far? The odds looked mighty high for the whole team to finish the mission and come home in one piece, so the men pushed harder and faster, feeling like nothing could stand in their way. We're invincible. Wholly unaware this was merely an elaborate bait they fell for, its line reeling them into an inescapable net. Shangguan Qingyan reached the manor to see the hellscape. The deafening silence was proof her father had been here in face of such destruction. How could a child survive it? The men might not lower themselves to harm him, but the shockwaves would still spell his end. Shangguan Qingyan frowned in deep worry, but her gaze was firm and her step quick as she went in. Yenner, don't. Shangguan Yulin blocked her path, grabbing her shoulders and speaking with distress. Uncle is in there, fighting. Soul Harmony experts are nothing, and even Genesis stage experts are sure to die. What can you do with an 8th layer ethereal stage cultivation? You're only going to die. Don't throw your life away. Shangguan Qingyan bit her lip. No, since I am in such danger, that means young Sanzi must be having it worse. Who cares? He asked for it. He's a brat causing trouble. Shangguan Yulin spoke with hatred, but Shangguan Qingyan was unflinching. Yenner, if not for yourself, then do it for Uncle. Uncle won't tarry in the Flying Cloud Manor any more than he needs to. Genesis stage experts can flee, and so can Soul Harmony experts. But not you, and you'll be holding them back. You'll only make it harder for Uncle, and might even harm him. Can you live with that? Shangguan Qingyan hesitated, but her gaze was firm once more. I know, and that's why I won't let Father find me. I'm only looking for young Sanzi, and then I'll leave. If I die from this, then so be it. It's just one of the things an aunt must do. Shangguan Yulin pushed Shangguan Yulin away and shot into the manor. Shangguan Yulan sighed, and followed. Then a flash of red came as well, who was not far behind them. All that remained here was the ground covered in blood and limbs, a sign that this world was lawless. Chapter 906. Plot within plot. Chapter 906. Plot within plot. Proofreader. Papatonks. That sure is fast. Passing the second defense line. In a quiet little room, an old man caressed his beard while listening in on the outside ruckus. A Genesis stage cultivator saluted. Dragon-cleaving Sword King. The thieves are quickly on their way here. They'll reach our line in 15 minutes. Shangguan clan. Danqing Shen's eyes shone coldly and he said, I have nothing against them, yet here I am clashing with them. How frustrating. The guard merely listened. Danqing Shen dismissed him by muttering, Leave, since there's still time. Let me enjoy the remaining minutes in silence. Yes, Sword King, sir. The guard left, fading into the darkness. Around this room, just like Bailey Jingwei's, hundreds of experts lay in wait, ready to strike on the other side of the manor. Shangguan Feiyun set his forces for an ambush. Hearing the noise in the distance, he closed his eyes to focus on it, wearing a faint smile. Ha ha ha, by the sound of things. It's those three's tri-talent surging cloud art. There's no way the manor's barrier can hold them. Those three coots want to get my head quite fast. Think again. Shangguan Feiyun mocked, flicking his sleeve and sitting in his chair. I shall wait right here. We're all Shangguan clansmen, so let's see whose soaring sword art is better. Tonight we'll see who is the strongest, the three soaring cloud swords of Eastern lands, or the best in Eastern lands. Shangguan Feiyun squinted, filled with battle lust, but no one would be joining him. Neither the Venerables nor Zhuo Fan, since Zhuo Fan used Shangguan Yulan to set up a different act, all to split the two Sword Kings and give him ample room to wiggle. With two Sword Kings joining hands, they'd make handling the three Venerables of Eastern lands a walk in the park. The Shangguan clan could hardly fight back and would collapse then and there. How is Zhuo Fan supposed to play in these conditions? Since you're done with them, won't that make me next? Which made this subterfuge a stalling tactic. Zhuo Fan wanted it to stretch for as long as possible, which clearly worked by all appearances. Rumble. The whole of the manor shook under the attacks. The table, chairs, and cupboards fell, smashing the chinaware on display in Zhuo Fan's room. Peacefully sitting on his bed meditating, Zhuo Fan sported a sudden grin as his eyes flashed open. That must be my cue. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan climbed out of bed and cracked the door open. Damn. Did you hear that? Just what could make all that noise? Is there another break-in? That has to be it. The same thing happened last time, 2 months ago. Only this time, it sounds stronger. What about Sword King Feiyun? Should we go guard him? You know how those brothers ended up last time, just for being moments slower. Don't worry about it. Sword King Sir has it under control. It's fine. How do you know? Dumbass, Sword King said it himself in this morning's warning. No matter what happens, we're never to leave our post. You could practically feel the premeditation in his tone. Not to mention the manor is stuffed with elites in every shadow. They must have a special task for sure. You're saying Sword King knew that we'll be under attack tonight? Why didn't he notify the guards, strengthen them? Ever heard of baiting, dumbass? But our brothers at the gate died for nothing, yes. The two guards discussed the ruckus reaching them and sighed at the implications. Nobodies like us look haughty posing as the manor's guards once making our rounds, when in fact we're all just our lord's pawns to throw away at a whim. Let's say Sword King did give us the order to go die. Would you refuse? Humph. Dying under Sword King's order will mean going down with honors. Your family will be compensated, their safety assured. The first guard nodded and grinned, though something sad hid behind his smile. That might work now, but what about next time? Ahem, Lord's matters are of no concern to us. Now stop the chatter. A third guard made his presence known as he walked over to berate them. A loose tongue will only bring trouble. If you plan on living for years to come, learn how to keep your mouth closed. The two guards shook and nodded. The third guard returned the nod and the mood eased. Creak. The door slowly opened and Zhuo Fan stepped out with a peculiar smile. The three guards looked oddly at him. What's Grandmaster Gu doing showing his face now of all times? A guard blocked him. Grandmaster Gu? What do you need that requires you to leave the room? Ha ha ha, nothing much. I just heard the noise and wanted a closer look. Grandmaster Gu, it's dangerous out there. Please go back inside. We'll keep you safe. The guard refused. Zhuo Fan smirked. And if I insist? The guards were puzzled. He's clearly toying around. But why? The only reason they treated a fifth-layer radiant stage cultivator with such respect was due to Bailey Jingwei's courteous attitude around him, so they ignored Zhuo Fan's posing, showing a look of ridicule. Grandmaster Gu, please don't make it any harder than it has to be. Our job is to keep you safe and, if the situation demands it, restrain you. It's all for your own good. It's too dangerous out there, so please go back inside. Don't make us use force. A guard replied respectfully but firmly. Zhuo Fan chuckled, with a hint of evil inside it that gave them the chills. What's with that laughter? You were saying earlier that the most worthy death is that done for the manor. The trio were stunned. Where's he going with this? Let me fulfill your wish. I sincerely hope your families have good fortunes from your passing. Zhuo Fan ignored the baffled guards, sighing, though I find such a death cowardly. Is that what a cultivator that defies the heavens should choose? Whoosh! A shadow extended from Zhuo Fan's feet that swallowed the guards in a blink. Darkness was the only thing that was present in this world. Domain Soul? One of the guards shouted, Grandmaster Gu, enough games. Take the domain down, or we'll have no choice but to get serious. Won't the Lord make us account for you getting hurt? Account for? Ha, you're overthinking things. There's nothing you can explain, ever, since the only place you'll be accounted for is right here, right now. The distorted mocking voice raised the guard's hackles. Damn brat, learn when to quit. We don't want to hurt you. Why all the damn theatrics? But since it came to this, a guard shouted, Grandmaster Gu, you asked for it, so don't blame me for hurting you. He made a fist and punched at the abyss, only to find himself unable to follow through his move. Paralyzed, the trio cried out, what's happening? I can't move. Ha ha ha, I guess I forgot to tell you that my domain is a twin domain. Unlike any ethereal stage cultivators, the two intersect and amplify their strength to hold even soul harmony experts like you from ever escaping. Zhuo Fan's eerie voice came again, though freeing yourself is far easier. The darkness crept up their bodies and seeped into their very flesh, gorging on their strength. The trio wailed in terror, consumed alive by the darkness. They turned into dark statues as the blackness faded to give way to the moonlight. Zhuo Fan was the only one present, a look at the sky and an ear on the ever-increasing clamor. Zhuo Fan smirked as he shot for Jade Falls. My turn. Chapter 907, Dreadful Sword. Chapter 907, Dreadful Sword. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. Hundreds of men in black landed in a wide space, with the moon hanging overhead. Before them were a row of buildings, though not the watery paradise they all were aiming for. Clan head. This place isn't right. It's not what it says on the map. One man looked around before going to Shangguan Feixiong to express his doubts. Shangguan Feixiong frowned, his face unnatural. He was getting a really bad feeling. There were some heavy sounds that cut off his thoughts. The black rows of houses all were filled with candlelight, and an aged voice sounded, Shangguan clan head, it's been ages. Have you been well? Shangguan Feixiong shuddered at the familiar voice. His face grew hard as he stepped back in terror. The rest were shocked at seeing their calm clan head out of his element. Just who was in there? Creak. An old man slowly stepped out of a lit house. With him came hundreds of Genesis and Soul Harmony experts, all releasing their power and bloodthirst, former best in Western lands, now dragon-cleaving sword king of Central Area, Danqing Shan. Why you didn't leave? Eyes shaking, Shangguan Feixiong gnashed his teeth, his suspicions confirmed, yet his heart sank. Trap. 3 days ago, their scouts watched Danqing Shan and Bailey Jingwei leave. Yet here he was now. It was all just to cover Bailey Jingwei set up, making a show of leaving and then returning to kill them. Everything was fake, so we'd take the bait. Danqing Shan's mere presence confirmed Bailey Jingwei was the one running the show. He was in the worst danger possible, far beyond just fighting two Sword Kings, but also being snared by Bailey Jingwei's trap. It just didn't get much worse than this. Shangguan Feixiong was soaked in sweat, his eyes frantic as panic and despair set in on his face. Danqing Shun easily read his mood, sighing, Shangguan clan head. I have nothing against you, but as we stand on opposite camps, I'll have to offend you. Retreat. Shangguan Feixiong shouted in anger, his eyes bloodshot. He was wrecked with regret, over his lapse in judgment, over his carelessness in getting his clansmen into this danger. If they were all to perish here, Shangguan clan would be threatened, Eastern lands would be threatened, and he would become his homeland's stigma. Shangguan Feixiong's guilt was so deep his eyes looked dead. He would not hesitate to give his own life if it could save everyone else out of this disaster. His men were startled at first, but then realized from Shangguan Feixiong's ashen face that they had been trapped. They trusted their clan head's decision and withdrew at once from where they came. Danqing Shun shook his head. Sorry, but my position demands me to stop you. You're never going to leave this place. Danqing Shun hacked with 2 fingers. A draconic roar echoed as the world changed. An outrageous flood of sword energy came, turning into dragons and converging into a half-kilometer-long draconic sword with the howls of dragons sounding in the background. The gigantic swords might spread terror into its quarry. It felt like it could split the world in 2 SSS. Every man there gasped, feeling for the first time a power like no other robbing their courage and draining their resistance. It was akin to the 3 venerables' combined attack, just that it came from one man and was on a much more insane scale. Is this the power of the Central Area's 9 Sword Kings? The people watching the gargantuan sword hanging overhead were overwhelmed with fear. Shangguan Feixiong watched their shocked faces, the terror in their eyes, and roared, "Don't stand there. Wake up and flee." Right? Startling awake, the men gave Danqing Shun one last look of fear, then fled with all they had. Even as their backs were icy cold, I never wanted to harm anyone. But it'll be up to your luck. Danqing Shun sighed, and his hand shone as he hacked Hu. The grand sword descended upon the earth like a cataclysmic meteor, its pressure robbing the men of breath and the ground of stability, making it crack and pieces beginning to actually float. While the true targets, the men that wanted to follow their clan head and fleeing, found themselves under a mountain, sinking into the earth and unable to budge an inch. Panic dominated their hearts, all stemming from the obscene power such a skill could unleash. From looking death in the face, this strike would kill most of them and put an end to their mission. All in one move, dragon-cleaving Sword King's power is terrifying. Fear had reached a breaking point in their minds, now giving way to despair. Shangguan Feixiong gnashed his teeth in defiance, cursing the sword as it came for them. He drew his fingers and made a circle, unleashing a scarlet sword wave, filling the air with life and smashing into the huge sword. Danqing Shan, enough of your contempt. I may not be the best in Eastern lands, but I've earned my name through the years learning the soaring sword art from the soaring sword. Great. I can't wait to spar with a fellow insightful cultivator in divine weapons. Ha ha ha. Danqing Shun chuckled at the challenge. Bam. The 2 sword attacks smashed into each other, unleashing a violent pressure and blinding light. Only Danqing Shun still walked with ease, his fingers pointing out casually while Shangguan Feixiong bled from everywhere and fought to just stand upright. Danqing Shun sighed. Shangguan Feixiong, you're a clan head but haven't grasped even a third of Soaring Sword's nature. If it were your brother, this clash would have ended in a draw. A shame you have yet to catch up to him, or maybe you never will. Insight is beyond our grasp. Danqing Shun felt regret as he shook his finger. Bam. Shangguan Feixiong's soaring sword wave was crushed and the huge sword continued its descent. Shangguan Feixiong spat thick blood, his eyes filled with guilt and regret. He knew Shangguan Feiyun was better than him, and he only got to lead the clan because the elders wished it. Now, with his clansmen about to be slaughtered, he was weak to stop it. This feeling of futility broke his soul and filled him with shame as a clan head. Feiyun was right. The strong are kings. If I had stepped down from my seat, he wouldn't have betrayed us and the Shangguan clan wouldn't be in such a crisis. It's all my fault. Lamenting his decisions, Shangguan Feixiong closed his eyes and awaited his death. Clan head. His men watched Shangguan Feixiong collapse and cried out. All their struggle to go to him was rendered futile by the sword's power. Danqing Shan's sword was about to end them as the clansmen shouted for their head, for his name. Whoosh! But then, A bright green glow shot from afar, like a shooting star cutting the night air and smashing into the sword bam. A deafening ringing sounded, but with a totally different outcome than before. The dreaded sword of a sword king had been stopped,